Dust 2, or maybe failing that, like even Nuke or Ancient, like all of those maps are maps that these guys have somewhat in common. Maybe even Inferno, you could say. So the fact that we're playing Train in the middle of it here is interesting. Mirage, we knew we probably weren't going to see. So yeah, I'm a little bit surprised by the veto, to be honest, and maybe especially I'm actually surprised the Gamer Legion banned out Dust 2. If anything, I thought maybe it was going to be LinVision doing it, or they have a lot of maps on it, so and it's not like that's a terrible map for them, but yeah, so I'm a little bit surprised. I think the veto it makes me wonder if there's something that we're not seeing here from one of these teams. I feel like Ash has come into this intentionally with this kind of a game plan, like he wanted some of these maps out of it. I'm really, really curious. I'm interested by it. Again, just look at it. LinVision banning out Ancient, but they have an 80% win rate in an Ancient. Even if they don't play it a ton, it's still definitely a map that they should be feeling a little bit more comfortable on. So yeah, very very interested. Yeah. So I guess at the end of the day, I'm just gonna pick LinVision. Why not? I feel like they always surprise me. Today's the day where I'm gonna be on their side.
So I touched on this just before. And by the way, just as a quick update, it does seem like we have some tech issues with Gamer Legion. You can see admins and people around their PC.
It's not just me.
That's fingers. Yes, you've cursed the game. Steam connection issues, apparently. So fingers crossed that'll be resolved shortly. But to put maybe a little bit of light on that question, and as you asked about Dust 2, because I do agree with you. And if you look at like the propensity of both teams to play that map, you'd expect it to be in a pool. It is an AWPer's paradise, and I looked at Hypex's individual stats on Dust 2 over the last 3 months. It's only 10 maps, it's a fairly small sample size. His T-half rating has been under 1.0, a 0.99. And to put that in perspective, his firepower stats on HLTV are 28 out of 100. So it seems to me it might be a map that Hypex individually, and this is complete speculation, I could be wrong, we're just trying to fill, obviously, but just to hopefully put a bit of light on this, it could be a case that he's just not as confident on this map right now, and they don't want to take the risk, because when you have a T-side AWPer that oftentimes is going under the radar and just isn't really performing, that can be catastrophic at a time like this.
Yeah, that's a good point. Plus, I'm pretty sure Saka is going to be playing just fine on a map like this too. So that could be one of those things about making the new kid and the team feel a little bit more comfortable and don't force him into some weird position that he doesn't want to be in. That could definitely be the case. Yeah, I mean, I think Polish Counter-Strike is looking almost better than ever in some sense, even though we're still lacking that like one Polish super team at the moment. But they do have a lot of talent that's spread out. I think Hypex might well be one of them. Who is holding? What are they doing? It's PR testing the vibes.
Yeah, checking the AC. Our fine producer just said that could be true. They are over in obviously in China right now, so I'm not entirely sure how hot it is there. But you got 5-6 people in the same room with PCs. Yeah, it's probably going to get a little bit sweaty, I'd imagine.
It'll get there. It'll definitely get there. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know. There are a lot of players as well. I feel like on the Gamer Legion side that are. I feel like PR is usually pretty good. I feel like lately Rez has been playing pretty consistently good. I never know what I'm getting out of Towson and CTR. I think both players, for weird reasons, have moments where they can step up and kind of, I don't want to say necessarily take over a game, but I've definitely seen some crazy Towson and CTR games where they are having a massive impact. And then there are other games where I feel like they sort of disappear a bit into the background, which if one of them does, might not be the end of the world, but if both do, it's a lot of pressure on the rest of the team.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement to make. I kind of view Towson and ZTR, obviously ZTR being the leader of this squad, you can give him a little bit more leeway for individual difficulty, shall we say. But I kind of view them as a little bit of the core, sort of the spine that are going to be doing the jobs, the positions that you ordinarily wouldn't necessarily put like a star player in, but they're always going to be pulling their weight to a degree, and it's up to the other guys to do more of the heavy lifting. I think they're kind of allowing the rest of the team to flourish and to really shine. And to be fair, for the most part, since Rez has joined Gamer Legion, he has been up to the task. He wasn't the problem. I don't want to just scapegoat Kersey because obviously he was removed, but Kersey's stats and the eye test and the way that he was playing just didn't really live up to the mantra of what Gamer Legion were looking for. And I think that's ultimately, obviously, actions speak louder than words, why he was removed from the team. But when I agree with you, in terms of like fragging power and in terms of top fragging, ZTR Towson, for the most part, are not going to be those guys, but they're going to allow those guys to thrive.
You know, there was so much drama about that, right? Kersey getting picked up and then kind of, abandoned pretty quickly afterwards. And I suppose, because I think Ash had made some comment on social media saying, like, don't worry, time will show he's going to be great and all the rest of it. But on the other hand, I do actually respect the idea that if it just isn't working, making the decision sometimes can also just be the right thing to do, to say, okay, listen, this doesn't feel right. We're cutting our losses early here and just kind of moving on. Like, obviously it can be a bit brutal for Kersey individually, but at the same time, just marching on for another couple of months with more losses and more weirdness is not always the way forward. I'm seeing some high fives coming out. I think that's encouraging. There's a chance here that we could be actually going into the game.
It does look like it. We've seen the lineup of T's and CTs on the respective monitors. It looks like we're ready, Anders.
Yes, let's not delay any further. We want to see some overpass action. So once again, a little bit of delay here on our side with the tech stuff. I was partly contributing that, but now we are getting into overpass, the first map in the series. Train coming up second, and Inferno to the side if we get there. All right, I'm seeing one of the admins just having a bit of a say in there. We've got all the intercoms ready and good to go, but hopefully we'll see all three maps. We're into the best of threes now. We had the best of ones earlier in the day with both these teams taking losses. So you've got to assume now is the, this is where you want to really make a statement and show that you've got it.
Yes, this is, of course, Group A's lower bracket round. It's a brutal system, but effectively you could be done this early in the tournament. Still some conversations between Ash and I think the admin. It does seem like ZTR is having some issues with his PC, the Steam connection problems we were told before, so I'm not entirely sure what's going on here, because it looked like all systems would go. We've had a bit of a false start here.
Yeah, get it up and running now. Stop delaying the tournament. Is it the verification thing that, I remember there was such a plague in the past, if you remember, like, especially on lands, for some reason, it would always pop up and be like, oh, you haven't been authenticated by the, whatever, like, the VACnet thing. It's like, no. Get crashed out in the middle of it, but hopefully it's less of a problem. I feel like they're all on the server, so that's got to be a great sign, if nothing else. Obviously, we do have another game coming up a little bit later in the day as well, another best of three. That's going to be following this one. So quite a bit of Counter-Strike. We start early, but then we also go on for a while. So I think it's going to be lots of fun. The Liquid MIBR that we're going to be doing here on the B stream, and there's also an A stream at the same time. If you guys have the RAM for it, open up another browser and watch both at the same time. Here we go.
Yes, sir. And we are ready to dive into our first best of three of the tournament. LegionGaming starting on the CT side, and Gamer Legion coming out with a couple of flashes and a smoke. The door's going to be a fast, rapid attack from Ipex. He will drop Starry, instantly pushing through into bathrooms.
That is a quick way to get started. It looks like they're not going to delay. They'll leave one player behind in CTR.
PR chỉ đến PR nét lát. Westman lên bắt phải đổi thiết hai Westman thiết chay. Hai x đổi đi mạng với em lại QQ và CTR dứt điểm đi Legion 1-0 nhưng mà Legion.
Quick speed coming in from the side of Gamer Legion, absolutely wrecking Vision at the beginning here. That's how we want to get started. We had a bit of a slow start, but now, they're putting up some speed. They're trying to catch us up as quick as they can.
Yeah, no doubt. And that looked pretty straightforward, right? Like, no frills, nothing particularly spectacular about the strategy. You get the pick you're looking for, you explode, you make sure you make the most of it, and unfortunately, we have the casualty of ZTR once again. His PC games continue as his corpse litters the ground, and everyone looks around like, oh, come on.
Please.
Mắc vào mới thi đấu một round mắt.
To be fair, though, if you're a professional Counter-Strike player, everyone's been through this multiple times, so I'm sure everyone has their own routine for not getting too stressed out or whatever. I guess it helps when you need the pistol round anyway. It does look like we have a bit of a buy-up coming in from the LinVision side, which has started to become more and more popular, obviously even on the CT sides. On a map like Overpass, is it a good idea? I haven't seen these work too much, to be honest, on Overpass. It doesn't mean it can't work, but I just feel like if you're going to do it, I'd be more in favor of trying for like a double scout or something if it's even possible.
Yeah, there's a lot of avenues and places where you can make the scouts work. Obviously, up in mid, long, you can get aggressive on sort of monster side as well. I think the problem is, though, that you're susceptible to being charged down from like Mac 10s, flashbangs, like fast, rapid hits. It's the complete Achilles heel of that kind of a purchase. So I'm not sure if... And I feel like LegionGaming, like obviously Zaka, we know what he's capable with his AWP and his scouts, but I don't really look at the rest of that squad and think that they have like a secondary AWPer or a scout that's like really at that kind of like level that can make the most of it. Like when you think of a team like Vitality, Rops is fine to pick up an AWP. Like to be honest, probably everyone on that
rất là
team
lâu
can
lên
AWP to
từ
some
vị trí
degree, shape
của
or form.
team
And a lot of these squads kind of have
LegionGaming.
the same sort of caliber. So
Máy của các thành viên
I believe Anders has had another
trông vẫn
issue of his own.
có vẻ
It's
rất
all
bình
going
thường
on right
trừ vị
now.
trí của
Having crashes
STR.
left, right, and center. It's fine. It's
Phải
all
phản
good.
rất
I'm
nhiều.
here to guide you through, guys. Hopefully, pray for Anders, please. Pray for ZTR as well.
Ta xem lại
Here's the
video
replay,
rồi.
though, of what happened in the first round. As I said,
Giữa
nothing too
Tây
spectacular, just a
có tình
straight
huống
up
là
rush.
không thể
I
nổi
think
được ai
West
thật
Berlin
sai
will
trong
feel like
khi
he should have done
không
better
có
from
ai
that
nhìn vào vị
position. He
trí
had
của
a
anh
couple of
ấy.
opportunities before he got in circle to rattle off the USP, but we all know what the hitboxes are like when you're shooting someone in the back of the head. It is a cruel and disastrous moment more often than not. However, ZTR is back on the server. He has Julie's, interestingly
ZTR
enough.
cũng quay ra cuối cùng đã quay trở lại với
And now
trận
they're
thi
going
đấu
to be
Z bắt đầu sớm
purchasing
rồi.
back up to where we were before. LegionGaming, as
Giờ thứ
Anders
hai
touched on before he got
bên
wrecked.
phía City bên
Now going to go
LegionGaming
for the
quyết định
force.
phóc
And I do
bài
agree with his sentiment.
bài
It
luôn.
doesn't often work on a map like Overpass. I'd be curious to see if
Chơi
we
rất
do see
cục
some
lên từ vị
aggression
trí
from
LegionGaming.
LegionGaming to try
Ở
and
đây có khẩu
supplement some of their
một
shortcomings in terms of
khẩu
utility,
Hamas.
especially. But
Trong
early
khi
on,
các
Game
thành viên
Legion
còn lại
tossing
chỉ
the
bắn
volley
những khẩu
over onto
EA
shorts.
như
This is
là
a good
57
way of
đó.
dealing with some of that aggression.
Bên
It
kia
has
thì
been
phun
smoked off.
súng to rồi.
Teams will be
Kể cả
very
2
alert and
2x
aware of
của
this.
AK. Đây
And
Camaster
knowing that LegionGaming on
trên
low
tiếp tục
economy, that
cống
effectively
Starry
gives away
nhìn
the
thấy ai
play
ơi.
almost
Starry có vẻ
instantaneously. They will be
nhìn thấy
boosting
đầu
up,
của
though.
PR không?
As a result, onto the short side on sandbags.
Vẫn chưa nhìn thấy
Starry, the
nhau.
one player that shone bright
PR
against
nếu
the
lộ cái đầu
NIPR
ra
in a
chắc chắn là
complete
cái án tử
routing
cho
of a
anh
loss.
ấy. Đúng vậy.
It's now going to be
Starry
afforded
đã
the
bắt được đi
luxury
cái
and
đầu
take
của
the head of
PR.
PR and back away.
Olsen
So
ở
they
đây
get the hit and
qua
run
sấy
they
ở
were
khu
looking
bao cát.
for. They're not able, obviously, to pick up the weapon outside
Rồi
of
các
Monster,
thành viên đương
but
nhiên
it
là
now
đi
does
sẽ
apply a
cố
lot more
lùi
pressure
lại
onto
thôi.
Game Legion. A fast four-man rotation back up
Các
onto A.
thành viên phía
And
Division đang
Geo have
trên
very
stack
little to show
3A.
for it. Sure, they still have a few smokes, a few flashes, but very
Nhưng mà
little
Legion
map
có tình
control.
huống bắt về B.
Well,
Quả
here
bom.
we go.
Quả bom chỉ là
Back
vứt lại ở
towards
nhà
the
thôi.
B bomb site.
Rồi
Side
quả
return a
smoke
little
lỗi
bit once
từ
again.
vị
A
trí
failed
của
smoke
phía
that is
Division.
out in the middle of nowhere.
Đây
Unexpected
suit
side effect, but
sẽ là người
they
solo
should be
bom
able
sai
to
B.
get onto the site. Surely call me Sue
Trong
alone.
khi
Push the
đây
UMP. No
cô với
flashes to
sút
set him
cô
up.
với
It's
sút bắt được
a
ai không
mistake
đây?
to be
Cô với sút phải ít
done.
nhất bắt được
He's done
2.
very well
Cô với
so
sút bắt
far.
được
Flash
1.
around the corner. CTR trying to get him, but he dies instead. And Rez, he
Đấy,
can't hunt him down. This is
đây
very
cũng
awkward. We're
nhìn thấy
talking
người
less
trên
than
Kevin
30
rồi.
seconds as they try and get
Các
onto
thành
the
viên
A side.
Division đang
It's
cố tập
just
trung
a
ở khu vực
bit
công.
of a fumble so
Khu
far for
công
Game
retake lại
Legion,
con
trying to get the
sai
bomb
này.
down, but he's being interrupted.
Em ra kêu
This is buying even more time off
nhìn
the
thấy ai
clock.
không?
They
Là
finally
nhìn
get
thấy người
going in the
bắn
beginning.
lỗi từ Nvidia.
Nearly planted here. It's
Zicker có 5 mục
1v1
tiêu
and
thì Dawson
Towson
tiếp
gets
tục
a
đi bạn của
triple and
Zicker.
saves Game Legion. That is
Một
ridiculously
round đều
close.
chiến thắng nhưng mất đến tận
That
4
is one of
súng
the
của
most
Game Legion.
chaotic rounds you will ever see at this level of Counter-Strike. It was
Cũng
just,
như
how did
thắng
Call Me
cũng như
Sue
thua.
survive for that long with the
Khi
UMP,
mà
Anders? I'm
dù
so
thua
mind-blown at that he
Division
gets
lại
a
có
kill
được tiền
onto
ngang bằng với
ZTR. It's
cả
UMP
Game Legion.
versus UMP. It feels like we're back in 2017 or something. And then he backs out on shorts, getting shot all
Không
around him,
xếp
somehow
lại được duy
survives.
nhất khẩu
And it
AK
felt
đến
like
từ
that
tay
was going
của
to be the
Dawson.
difference maker. You could see that with 20 seconds left, Game Legion were too scared to fully commit to the bomb plant because there were so many angles they had to cover. But here we are, the force buy, whichever way you spin it. Yes, 4 casualties.
Đây là một setup
But
kỳ
you're
phao
back
luôn.
into an eco with a CZ and a
Starry đẩy xuống dưới
P250
cùng
Deagle,
connect.
that's it. A great
Bị
opportunity for
lửa
Game
lại
Legion
rồi.
to get a
Nhưng Starry
3-0.
không để tâm lắm. Một quả nít vào giữa vị trí của Dawson. Dawson chỉ còn nửa cây. Starry cũng bị cả nước chết. Tốt chết đi rồi. Vì hướng đưa về 4v5. Đây từ là cứng tạo động ở khu nhà vệ sinh này. 4A bỏ lại cũng sai B. Vị trí Division đẩy ra đây có cả không nhìn thấy ai. Tức là có nhiều lùi về rồi. PR thì được sướng thôi. PR sẽ báo về cho các đồng đội là bom sai B chống hư chống hoác nhưng mở cửa cho các thành viên dưới Game Legion vào. Đẩy đến gần khu vực ABC rồi. Chắc chắn PR sẽ phải làm một mạng đây. Đi bên kia chỉ những khẩu như là CZ, khẩu P250.
And LegionGaming can be pretty happy about
Đây là
that
bên
going
kia
into
rất
the next
chỉ
one. So there's still plenty to play
chưa lộ ra.
and to
Có
play
vẻ
for. Call Me
CP
Sue playing
được
up
xếp
close with
những
the
khẩu
CZ.
súng này rồi.
PR decides better of that wise decision. Not really
Chắc chắn
worth
sẽ là
hunting
để số
down
thứ 3 thành cho các thành viên của team Legion ở đây Emilia cùng với Seeker đã cố gắng bóp máy phía sau, nhưng mà các thành viên phía team Legion đã đoán ra điều này và sấy đụng vào vị trí để check. Người bên phía Legion đã phát hiện ra cứ không đẩy nữa, sẽ bắt được ai không. Emilia chết chay, cộng 600 đồng cho tài khoản của PR. Cái bị không ra nữa. Seeker lên đường khó úp vòng 3 và 2 round thi đấu eco vừa rồi, và nó 1 round phụ 3 và 1 round eco. Ở đây ngoài trừ PR và Zin ZTR đó, và 2X đang phải dùng những khẩu Mark 10 không, hai khẩu AK cao, một khẩu Galil, hai khẩu Mark 10 từ Legion. PR đã đẩy nhanh đến khu bao cát rồi, tìm thấy ai không đây. Đây kia Seeker đang có một khẩu OK ở khu vực là Halo, không biết chút không, stack 3 bonsai B. Vẻ em đoán là các thành viên như Legion đánh bonsai B, và chính xác là như vậy. Westman đối đi mạng Thousand, PR bắt đi mạng của Westman thì cũng như là 3 vết 4. India bị ăn quả lửa, 2 quả lửa. India đổi được 1. Starry bị cháy khét rồi. Drake cũng bắt đi được nốt cái mạng của Emilia. 1 vs 3. Chắc là sẽ cố gắng xếp lại khẩu ốp này từ Seeker thôi.
I mean, what can Zaka realistically do here, Anders? I mean, surely he's thinking of saving already.
Thầy đi xem kết thì dưới tôi đi xem 2 đội TA này bắt nhau.
Doesn't really matter, I suppose. Even if it failed, it probably could have worked for Rez to hide inside of. But yeah, I think he was probably sticking around hoping to get one kill and just make it a bit more expensive. Doubt he was ever going to be able to do anything else there.
Cho game Legion 4 nào thắng thông. Và lượng tiền của họ thì tiền nó khá dư giả, và 2 round vừa rồi không chết, không mất đi nhiều súng. Sau khi Seeker cùng các đồng đội Legion sẽ phải có một round bye với khẩu ốp của Seeker làm trung tâm.
No doubt, and whether it's the MAC-10s or the AK Galil in first, they lost 2 players, but the other 2 were able to trade through, and so they maintained 3 rifles regardless.
Tôi thấy vừa rồi các thành viên phía Legion trả bom hơi ít, hầu hết là toàn viên phía game Legion trả bom, chỉ có duy nhất một khẩu quả smoke ở khu vực cống thôi. Quả smoke khu vực cống này. Chúng đẩy connect, ở đây connect nó có 2 thành viên phía Legion. Thousand không biết điều này không đây. Hay nếu không biết thì sẽ là 2 mạng free cho Starry. Starry và Emilia đang ở gần đây. Starry phải đổi được 1. Starry đổi được 1 thật. Emilia không thể đổi lại cho người đồng đội, nhưng Westman đã làm được điều đấy thay cho Emilia. Thế đang là cân bằng cho cả hai đội, nhưng mà khẩu ốp hiện tại Seeker vẫn còn. Nên bù lại không bị sút đang phải bắn khẩu. Đây vượt sai thăm minh đến từ Seeker, chỉ còn lại 21 HP. Drake đẩy vào vừa con sai, nhìn thấy ai chưa nhìn thấy một ai cả. Rat trả vào rất nhiều. Còn check đi khu vực Seeker phải cứ về phía back. Westman vỡ đầu, chỉ còn không bị sút được khẩu AK vừa rơi là của người đồng đội. Hết đạn từ vị trí Drake. Drake sẽ phải nằm xuống. Thằng kia là 2 thân binh hạng nặng từ Legion, trong khi 2 đội kia vẫn còn đầy máu. Rất khó từ vị trí Legion. Nếu họ sẽ bị xếp không? Máu người 21, người 18. Hắn gửi một viên đạn vào 4 chắc chắn là ra đi. Là sẽ xếp lại được khẩu AK cùng khẩu ốp. Khẩu ốp người qua 3 round chưa làm được một mạng nào. Ốp để cho mới bắn không trúng ai.
Yeah, especially after a couple of, sketchy and
Này chắc
wacky
sẽ đến hết
moments in that
đấy
second
vẫn
round,
Factory
especially when it
New
comes
thôi.
down to a
Đến hết
chaotic
hiệp vẫn Factory
1v1
New thôi.
that
Còn
goes to
chả
late
dính vào
game
ai.
Legion, but that's now in the rearview mirror, and it's just gaining more and more distance. I touched on the roundhouse bonus building up for Lin Vision. That's all well and good. You've got an AK, but you've got to start doing something with these weapons. Saving's all fine for
Hai
bolstering up
tí
future
có được
rounds,
10k
but
tiền
you
rồi.
have nothing to
Thì
build
rất
off
là
right now
dư
in terms
giả
of your
cho
overall
Game
stature in
Legion.
this map.
Logo Game
And
Legion
again,
cũng cháy
Train's
rồi.
next. This is
Năm
an
nào thắng liên
unknown
tục.
sort of quantity when it comes to Lin Vision. So this
Đúng
is
là
about
map
as
pick
bad as
của
it gets to
Game
start off a
Legion.
best of 3. But maybe they can make the weapons work
Còn
here,
bên
Anders. They got the AK we touched
Legion
on,
họ
they
cũng
got
có
the
thể
orb.
full buy nhưng mà
Can
đây
they
sẽ
get
là
Zaka
round.
involved? I mean, he's died twice and they've lost 5 times. It goes to show how
Nếu thua
quickly
round
they've
này
had
họ
to
sẽ
pull the
phải
plug
tiếp
in
tục
these
full
rounds.
buy. Hoặc full buy với lượng bom mình không được đầy đủ lắm. Hai bên còn nửa cây. Họ cũng spam rồi phía Division. Thêm một phát nữa, phát súng chính xác từ 2x cố đi Emilia, chỉ còn 16 HP. Yeah, ở đây kia lại cũng cấu. Emilia có kia chi trá của con Nick. Nhưng mà các thành viên Game Legion đã kéo nhau lên phía A-side rồi. A-long không có một ai, A-short không có một ai. Có vẻ bên phía Game Legion nghĩ nhiều rồi. Họ lại quyết định rút về B. Ở đây chỉ có vị trí Komisut chấn giữ ở khu vực cống của không. Komisut tiếp tục là người solo bom sai này, không có hỗ trợ người vị trí của Westmoreland. Thằng mình muốn đẩy về Komisut làm một và bị đổi ngay mạng của ZTR. Chui khu vực nước này rất khó khăn để di chuyển. Đổi được một không? Đổi đi bạn không đổi được ai, chỉ là bắn yếu khu vực của Westmoreland. Emilia 9 máu, Emilia làm một nhưng mà chẳng làm được gì, máu quá thấp. Là thắng thứ 6 dành cho Game Legion. Sắp tôi phải cắt trận một chiều này nhỉ.
Man, Westmoreland is going to wake up in the middle of the night with cold sweats, nightmare from that last round.
Quá một chiều đến từ Game Legion. Gần như hủy diệt hoàn toàn các thành viên bên phía của Division. Tom thì rất chăm chỉ, cấu đi rất nhiều lượng máu, như thế còn cực rùa với pha bắn ốp với lấy của.
And it's not that Lin Vision haven't had chances, but I do agree with you. It feels like they've been way too reactive rather than proactive. And that will need to change at some point.
Không biết hôm nay thì đang ở dưới con deck có 2 thành viên phía của Division. Chơi setup rất là default nhưng mà bên Game Legion đã không làm như thế một lần nào nữa. Kéo nhau khu vực nhà vệ sinh, cái shot không có một ai check ra. Emilia tìm để check rồi nhìn thấy người rồi. Nó sẽ bắt đầu xả lửa thôi. Starry chết chay để lại một mình Emilia bơ trong sai. Emilia vẫn chưa bị nhìn thấy. Emilia đổi đến bạn của Rex trước khi nằm xuống một thì của ZTR. Komisut cũng đã đổi đi cái mạng một mạng. Đây là 2 vs 3. Có lẽ sẽ là ra chiến thắng đầu tiên dành cho Division nữa. Tỷ số sẽ là 1-6 sớm thôi. Sau khi tôi nhắc nhở nhẹ một câu thôi, Division đã có được ra thắng đầu tiên trong các thi đấu overpass này. Ra thi đấu vừa rồi gần như là sức chơi riêng của Game Legion thôi. Mà vừa rồi Game Legion mắc sai lầm.
even though that works out for LinVision, it's still a great plan for Gamer Legion. You've got to give them a lot of
Yes.
credit for making that work.
Hai
They were
hai
one kill away. I think
City phải
call me Sue, like you
tay
said, the
không
double
to
kill
lắm.
made a big
Thực
difference,
sự
but there was a chance
để
that
mình
LVG
nói về
could
cá
have
nhân
made
tôi
it
thì
immediate right
Division tay
afterwards,
không
and even
to.
with the double there, it wouldn't have worked out. Some more tricks. This
Khá
is
ít
obviously the
highlight
other
nếu mà
thing that
không nói đến
overpowers this
Emilia
for those of you who
hay
don't
là
know, are the boosts all over the place.
Zicker
But
thì còn lại
almost
là
catching
rất là ít
onto
highlight.
Starry making his way across to long, and now
Bên kia
LinVision
thì
actually are a
chắc
bit
chắn
more
ai
forward.
cũng
So
biết
let's see.
Drake
This is what I was asking for.
cập
See
chân
if
đến
it's
cái
actually
nít
going to work or
đã
not.
bao lâu rồi
So far, it looks
và
like
đang
they're
trẻ
going to avoid any
gọi là chôn
immediate
vùi thanh
fights,
xuân
but
ở
you can obviously turn that
bọn
forward
ninja trong
push
bộ
the
đồ
CT side into a bit of a
và
run.
Zicker bắn
Sack
trượt
with a missed opportunity and see if they actually will
sẽ
move
phát hiện
forward.
ra
So
thôi
far, they're
Drake
sticking on long.
dịp là check lại khu vực phòng vé.
Because of how forward he was playing, basically with no cover as
Đây
far as they're
Starry đi lại
concerned,
khu vực phòng vé
I
chắc
think
chắn
they'll have a good
Drake
idea
sẽ
as
ra
to
đi
something
thôi
like this
nếu
being a
không check ở khu vực
possibility.
này.
That's why we're seeing Rez play an angle that we've not really seen Gamer Legion exploit
Right.
so far. And at some
Đây
stage,
Drake sẽ nhìn
LinVision,
lại khu vực này thôi.
3 of their 5
Drake
players
ra
fully
đi.
committed over on this side. You're gonna have to think about rotating.
ZTR
One kill
cũng muốn
does the
coi
world
lại
of
cho
good
đồng đội
for
và
them.
đã đổi đi
ZTR
cái
is
mạng
able to stand
Starry.
tall, deliver for one.
Đây là
As
4
they
vs
realize
4.
the second player is
ZTR
here. Now he
bắn
will,
chết
but it's
ở
too
khu
little
vực
too late.
bởi
Emilia
vị trí
takes him
Emilia.
down. Great
2x
opportunity
đang
for LinVision to get 2 in a
chỉ
row.
đứng connect từ phía
You
Úc
could see they had no idea that there was a second player over
nhưng
on
mà
long, so that was a real sketchy
họ có
moment.
thể
PR
nhìn
trying
ra
to
ở
get
trên
close
phía
to
A
the
chỉ còn
smoke.
mỗi
He wanted
mình
the
vị trí của
headshot, and he's
Zicker
not
không.
going to be able to follow it up
Và
there.
Zicker bắt đi mạng của
High ground
PR
position for Saka, and he's able to
bây giờ
take
hiện
it
ra
down. The
trên
bomb is going to make its way here, and honestly, this is
và
a bit
hiện
weird.
giờ là
They
cứu
could
Tula
stick
của
at the bomb plant.
và chắc chắn
That
quả bom sẽ là hạ
is
xuống từ
actually
A-side
a
khi
winnable
A-side bỏ
position.
trống.
2 versus 4, admittedly. LinVision, though, they've
Zicker
got to be very careful. There's a
kia
flank
là
coming in as well.
banh
Missed
và
flick
bắn
from
trượt tiếp
Saka. And
và
so it's
tiêu
the same for
tia
Hypex
em
on
rượu
the side. See if the
Upper
Polish
tia em
Storm
rượu
could do anything in this one. Towson with a headshot
Towson
here.
mất đi mạng của
Already
dư
got
Tây.
a bit lower, but
Towson
now
double
they're on
kill.
top of them. It's just
Emilia
going to be down to
có double
Towson.
kill
He's
cho
still
team mình.
stuck at the back here, looking for another
Towson
headshot. He's
triple
taken the
kill.
spree down. He's already saved them once, and
Có
now
phải
a
là cái
missed
quadra
from
kill cho
Saka is going to
Zicker
seal it
của
here.
Towson hay không đây?
Running down
Bắn
low
trượt
here.
từ
This is
Zicker.
12
Vâng.
minutes left, and another headshot. A stunning clutch coming out from
Upper
Green.
theo tôi phân loại Upper có
Oh man, a couple
3
of things
loại.
about that round.
Một
First off,
là
Hypex
loại
and
như
Towson expertly played around that smoke that was down, taking
Sayu,
shots and then
Simple,
retrieving back
Monesi.
into the shroud and shadows for their
Loại 2
reprieve. But
là kiểu
secondly,
như
the fact that they only
hoàng
had
tử
one
James.
flashbang for that retake.
Loại 3
They
là
come up through the lower
em rượu.
angles of heaven and
Ở
bang
đây tôi
respectively
đánh giá
was
Zicker
so
vào loại em
real.
rượu.
Like you got one flash, you want to throw a H here or a
Bắn
Molotov
gần hết
into all
băng
those cordoned
ốp
areas
rồi
like
mà không trúng một
Towson's
ai.
playing in right now, and they just didn't have the utility to pull it off. And then Towson, a player that we were touching on before, maybe not always going to be towards the top of the scoreboard in terms of his firepower, proving us wrong with an exquisite clutch. And that's got to break the back of LinVision. You finally get success, you're in a 2 versus 4, and it all comes unraveled.
Yeah, that's really, really hard to recover from. They lose everything. They're back to UMP.
Tỷ số là tỷ số Brazil Đức World Cup 2014.
But 7-1. The fact that they're on the CT side is, just to reiterate again, supposed to be a CT-sided map this one, so very interesting stuff. Early grenades towards the L-bend.
Một khẩu
Again,
P
that's PR. You want it to.
mà P9 dấu hiệu là chắp vá của kinh tế rồi.
You could see PR wanted to make the same run towards the L-bend like he did earlier.
Trong khi bên phía của Game Legion rất nhiều tiền. Không bị sút là được khu vực nước không tìm thấy một ai khi mà các thành viên của Game Legion đã rót vào khu vực cống. Towson bắt đi mạng Westman trước khi bị đổi lại bởi Emilia. ZTR bắt đi mạng của Emilia. Zicker cũng cuối cùng đã bắn trúng. 2x đã đổi đi mạng của Zicker. Hướng là 2 vs 3. Có lẽ nên đi xếp thôi. Dù có vị trí của 2x đang yếu máu nhưng mà đấy là vị trí khẩu ốp nên không quá quan trọng. Nhưng mà quả bom vẫn chưa hạ xuống. 2x làm gì vậy? 2x vẫn kê xì chứ muốn hạ quả bom xuống. Vẫn đoán. 2x đi ra đi ngay lập tức. Này quá to đấy, cô bị sút. Và cô bị sút bị đổ lại bởi PR rồi. 1 vs 2. Có phải Fagrat thành công Starry không đây? Starry có bot frag. Bắt một, nếu có 1v1. Đồng hồ còn điểm 20 giây. Starry clutch thành công 1 vs 2 và mang về điểm thi đấu chiến thắng thứ 2 để cho LegionGaming. Và pha đấu tay cuối cùng thì
You could see the
rất
chaos there for Gamer
CTR,
Legion, even in the 1
CTR
v 2
này rất là
against Starry. They don't know where he
thua
is
tay
because they take down
chỉ
Cole
Starry
Misu. They knew that he was at the L bend, but
đang từ
they
gần
just
bot
didn't
frag
have the correct
trận
labeling
lên
for where
mid frag
Starry
luôn,
was, unfortunately. So they had no idea about that first kill.
gọi là
Very
pha rất
close
khó
looking
hiểu.
once again.
Sai thì clear rồi nhưng mà vẫn chưa đặt ra được quả bom, rất là khó hiểu đến từ vị trí của ZTR. Hay xin lỗi các bạn ơi, chỉ hay rất là khó hiểu. Rồi bài chip A, chip B sớm đi vị trí tiền nước và công đất được chiếm lại các thành viên bên phía Game Legion. Emilia nhìn thấy người rồi, ra xem có kịp lùi lại đâu. Có về cho đồng đội rồi, anh nhìn thấy người khu vực B. Smoke, che đi khu vực đầu. 1 phút còn lại, có 2 quả smoke được đầu tư ở khu vực đầu tiên. Các thành viên bên phía Game Legion vẫn chưa từ bỏ. Vâng, rằng bom xanh A, B đang có 4 người trấn thủ. Không một ai check lại khu vực A cả. A đang chỉ có một Zeker với khẩu ốp.
I was wondering about the silent walkthrough as well, because Townsend's kind of out of position to try and do anything with the flashbang, but he could, I suppose, just join the rest of the team in a second or two. But yeah, there we go. There's the
flash là tiến vào trong offside, thời gian không còn nhiều, 30 giây còn lại. Komisut bị bắt đi. Westman double kill trước khi bị nằm xuống ở Rick. Emilia bắn chớ. Rick double kill, Townsend đã bắt được im ảng Emilia. Còn lại có Zeker. Vâng, 4 bom sai A vẫn có thể tan vỡ bởi 3 khẩu tech này và 2 khẩu AK. Game Legion đã khó hiểu, nay Legion còn là bài toán khó hiểu hơn.
It's been such a turbulent half, hasn't it? Like, hope has been present a couple of rounds and then it's just snatched away from Gamer Legion. Some really good calling.
Shopping into vị trí của Townsend.
Shots that maybe should be connected more so. Westmelon gets 2 in this round, but he'll feel like he probably should have got the third, and that very well could have put this round to bed. Instead, 8-2 the score.
Mapping của Game Legion là họ đang thể hiện rất tốt ở trong map thi đấu này. KDA của các thành viên Game Legion rất là đồng đều, 18-5. Trong khi bên phía Game Legion cũng đều nhưng mà là ngu đều. Batman thể hiện rất tốt trong giai đoạn này, trong ra thi đấu vừa rồi, nhưng mà đồng đội thì không được như thế. Tôi có nên nói Emilia thằng overrated Trung Quốc không nhỉ? Nhìn thấy là Starry phát hiện ra Starry chỉ còn lại 31 HP, còn là đẩy lùi đến vị trí của Starry. Các người đồng đội dịch cả bắt được đi bằng PR. Và tôi thăng cấp cho Zika lên Upper Tier 2 nữa, ngang vị trí ngày dây luôn. ZTR bắt đi mạng Westmelon. Check lại khu vực bao cát lần nữa. Sẽ là rút về từ các vị trí của các thành viên Game Legion thôi. Khi Rick báo về thông tin rất quý giá, chẳng sinh không có người, phòng vé không có người, hoặc cùng lo, không có một ai.
There's still a minute left on the clock. Like that information has a sell by date. The expiry date's
rất có cẩn.
quick. So just kind of puts this
Thời gian thì Zeker cũng đã vác lại khẩu ốp mình về khu vực City. Chỉ để lại bước mình vị trí Komisut làm anh Ecker. Komisut như vừa rồi, đã thấy là làm rất là tròn vai. Trừ những round không đổi được ai ra thì rất là tròn vai. Đâm đổi ít nhất 1 đến 2 để có thể team bây giờ có thể detect về. Nhưng mà tay của họ vẫn có cái gì đấy không bằng. Đây Rick nhìn, ôi ngã chết từ vị trí Zeker. Tụt tia nhá. Rồi còn tia ngã chết nữa. Tiếng
Oh,
Opper
there's
ngã
many
chết.
things that you can see
Không thể
from this
tin được.
guy that just seem to
Là
defy
cái
the odds,
kiểu
but
phòng
you really
2
don't
là
defy
giải trí
gravity.
cuối tuần, giải
That
trí
is a
giữa tuần.
constant. Oh man.
Yeah.
Ờ,
That's really rough. And also really funny. Oh no, I was so shocked that
Nào thi
actually
đấu cuối
could have
cùng
been kind
của
of a sick
hiệp
attempt
thi
at a
đấu đầu tiên.
4v2, but obviously, just
Viên
like you
đều
said, gravity.
đầy đủ bom mìn và súng ống.
It's a rough thing, isn't it?
And the worst part
Đây,
is as well is like just
Starry
previously in
ra
that round, like you
qua
said,
tầng mũi
he
đốt.
took a shot. It looked like to me it could have been on, but
Yeah.
misses, and it changed the
Và
entire
chiếm
dynamic.
lại
The
khu
play
vực
that rotates up
con
connection
lách
would
này.
not have had to have
Nhưng
been that
mà bên
quick.
kia đang có một
If
thành
that
viên
shot
phía Legion.
lands, it changed everything.
Và
That
bị
domino
cháy
shot
rồi.
was brutal.
Starry bị cháy. Đi đâu cũng bị cháy. Ra kho từng bị cháy, ra con lách cũng bị cháy. Bia bắt được vi mạng của Dương Tây. Tôi bị sút đây em phải nhất đổi lên 1. Và tôi bị sút là trốn ra quả sút này đến giả hàng lá từ không bị sút. Nhưng mà phát đi ra từ smoke khá ngớ ngẩn. Hoặc là tham minh. Ở đây sẽ báo về là không còn người trong khu vực Sabi. Một khi Starry đã về, trong khi trên Haven có vị trí của Emilia nữa. Thì nói Emilia bị bắt lại, Starry cũng chết chay theo 12 đến vị trí của cái viên phía game Legion. Chúng ta sẽ cùng nghỉ ngơi trong ít phút trước khi quay trở lại đến biến tiếp theo với trận đấu thứ hai mắc thi đấu Overpass.
They allow the players to flourish, but I've got to say, Game Legion played a really good half there. Take nothing away from them. LegionGaming had a lot of questionable decision making, though, especially as we said before, like these weird short pushes into sewers. They were in these half buy sort of eco rounds. Then they were playing aggressively, but that's just way too obvious. Like you can read it so easily because Game Legion just sat back saying, "Come on, then, like push into us," and they did almost every single time.
Yeah, you could just tell here there's no flashes going over. It's way too many people getting caught out in the open. It's a brutal first half. There's no question about it. It wasn't even clear to me exactly what the game plan was, but I felt like they fell victim to a lot of the. Like, since Overpass came back into the map pool, there's something that I've seen a lot. A lot of people have forgotten how to use the front of the A side and even the connector. Like a lot of the CT sides are just so confused about how to play that side of the map. And then obviously the other problem was, honestly,
cái diễn biến tiếp theo của hiệp thi đấu thứ hai map thi đấu Overpass. Đây Game Legion sẽ bắn phía City. Trong tay có quả net với quả flash, từ tay của CTR. Towson với khẩu Dual Barretta được CTR drop ra. Và rất Elon từ vị trí của các thành viên phía Division. Không phải rớt rồi. Đi khá chậm. Chậm lại. Các thành viên của phía vẫn chưa phát hiện ra là website A của họ đang gặp nguy hiểm. Bắt đầu tôi thả đồ đầu tiên, trong website không có một ai cả. Rex ở vị trí cây shot này, không nhìn thấy ai. Smoke quá kín. GTA sẽ phải check lại khu vực banh, nghe lên tiếng rồi. GTA sẽ bắt được một mạng thôi. Tin tôi chắc chắn bắt được một mạng. Ui, tham minh. Ui mày quá. Bia bắt được đi vào giết cờ. Bia còn vào tốt trong đội nhưng mà chỉ làm được một thôi. Không nhìn thấy ai sao? Rồi vẫn có Towson với Pia nữa. CTR đổi được một. Nằm súng của Emilia. Rex bắt được một. On tap đi Starry. Seven bắt đi 2x. Rex double kill. Thời gian đã đến hồi kết rồi. Và điều chiến thắng thứ 3 cho thành viên Division.
Yeah, I like that. I was going to say the other real threat that was in that round is just you don't necessarily know if there's going to be a smoke diffuse, and if you're on the bank, that can just be very awkward. But I guess the upside is they got so many kills right at the end there, and with the new sort of money system, look at what they have: double stack MP9s and the FAMAS.
Trong khi
So
trong khu vực banh đã có vị trí của PR hỗ trợ rồi. PR và 2x hỗ trợ cùng người nhưng mà CTR vẫn chưa vào. Nick có ý gì? Chúng ta ở đây xuống lửa chống đẩy.
Which some people hate, but I do like it for a couple of reasons, and certainly one of them
Xuống
is the
được
fact that you can use these scope weapons, you know, to gain more efficiency.
Connect
So
thuộc
a
quyền
lot
kiểm
of
soát
fun
hoàn
to
toàn
see.
từ
We'll see if Vision are going to fall
bên
into the
Division.
trap of slow playing it against the
Thấy
scouts.
bắn
No
khẩu
tag
scout
on that
trượt.
one. Nice flash to set it up, and just waiting. Emilia here, not aware that there was someone right on the other side.
Chưa
We'll
phát
see if
hiện
they
ra là
find the
ai.
flashbang to get
Rất
through.
gần nhau rồi.
They certainly
Quả
had
flash
one on the
trắng
start,
quá.
but it's gonna be
GTA
Sam to
nằm
set up
xuống ngay
this
lập tức.
one. Straight
Rick.
on through. Good headshot
Rick
on
đổi
the
được
Mars.
được 2.
Emilia goes down.
Ra
It
đấy
could
bắt
be
đi
the
mạng
beginning
của
of the end.
PR.
3 versus 3.
Ở kế đang là 3vs3.
This is also wasting a lot of time and resources that LegionGaming have to try and deal
Quay
with
hai đường mà
this
Rick chắc chắn sẽ phải nằm
annoying
xuống thôi.
rat in the face
Rick vẫn có triple kill cho mình trước khi nằm xuống dòng
down the
Rick
hammer.
cờ.
3 kills
Quá hay đến từ
individually,
vị trí của Rick.
above and beyond what could have possibly be called upon.
Cô bị
But
sút
it
bắt
is a
đi mạng tao
rotational
rớt.
kill for
Còn
Cole
duy
Misu
nhất
onto
thấy
Towson.
cái khẩu scout trên
Trying to
người.
scamper, Scarpa
Lắc một
back into
vs 2.
connect there. He's been caught. More than enough time for the plant as well.
Đi
And our
vào
high
khu
pitch
Haven này
scout's
chắc
gonna
chắn sẽ
have
bị
to
check lại
find
thôi.
for us what
Bắn
he's
chưa?
got up his sleeve.
Không bắn
But
trúng
instead, he
người.
gets nailed
Và
from
cái
Cole
trước nằm
Misu
xuống với
JK.
phía Kobe sút.
Great effort from Rez
Rick
though.
rất hay nhưng mà
It
Lee
really
Vision rất tiếc.
was. 3 kills from that
Và
position.
đây là lại là trẻ.
We were talking about Cole Misu making a bit of an
Xem
assumption in the
Rick
first
sinh
half
năm bao
when he
nhiêu
threw the
cái.
connector with the knife out.
Tôi nhớ
Towson
không nhầm
making
thì Rick cũng cả trong NIP
phải
4-5 năm trước khi được thả xích rồi. Là con lượt. Nhìn mình phút xuống phía 3 mà.
They haven't really got started here. Obviously, both teams have lost their first maps, but none of them really got that many
Ra từ đầu
rounds.
thứ 15.
Kind of got blown up in that first game.
Các thành viên phía Game Legion đã
They
yếu
haven't
tiền.
really done too much yet.
Sau khi Rick bắt được Rick bắt được 2 với khẩu 57 trên tay của mình. Vâng, Rick tay vẫn rất là to. Con hàng tiềm năng có thể giải cứu NIP nhưng mà các bạn thấy lịch sử rồi đấy. NIP vẫn ngụp lặn ở cái tier 2.5 thôi. Cái nhán không thể nằm lên mùa xuân được. Một người khôn không thể gánh được 4 người ngu trong team. Vì sút này mà tình huống kê lại không được cầu. Thì hai đường. Trong khi bóng B chỉ có duy nhất vị trí của ZTR. ZTR đang trấn thủ thôi. Sẵn cả smoke. Có vẻ là nhìn thấy rồi. ZTR sẽ trả ra quả smoke để bịt kín khu vực này thôi. Có đủ liều để băng qua quả smoke đến từ phía các thành viên Division hay không đây? Vâng, băng qua smoke. ZTR bắt được một trước khi nằm xuống. Rồi, làm tốt lắm rồi. Tao rớt bắt một, tao rớt làm 2. Cái khẩu DE trên tay của mình. Để chiến thắng thứ 11 để cho thành viên với Game Legion. Quá một chiều đến từ map thi đấu này. Có vùng vẫy đến từ vị trí của Division. Nhưng mà khoảng cách về tay là khoảng cách gì đấy khó để săn lấp. Đối thi triển của Lee Vision rất là túng túng. Bom mình không biết nhiều. Mà tay thì không bằng Game Legion. 4 round thắng vừa rồi gần như là chỉ là khi các cái Game Legion mắc sai lầm thôi.
They somehow find a way to throw it away, so that's pretty shocking. I guess it is the pick of Gamer Legion, so that's at least something. But I don't know. This is the fact that train is the second map is just such a head scratching situation in itself. So I don't know what to even make of it. I don't even know if it's an advantage for LegionGaming that's where we're going.
Bắt đầu đến round chắp vá từ vị trí của team Division. Nhưng round gần cuối rồi họ chỉ có thể phóc bay thôi, không thể để đến 12 mới bắt đầu bay được. PR ở đây bắt được ai không? PR bắt được một Starry đổi đi bạn của GTR. Towson đã về hỗ trợ cho người đồng đội của mình. Các thành viên Division ngay lập tức lùi lại rồi. Không biết được trong bóng sai B vẫn còn 2 người. Cố gắng điều chuyển bóng sai A. Và bóng sai A không thua kém gì. Là 2 người tay khá to. Trên con Rick, PR cũng theo thời gian cũng đã quay lại khu vực bóng sai A. Bên khu vực Heaven để có thể rotate về A nhanh nhất có thể. Rex bắt đầu đi đẩy. Nghe được tiếng rồi. Chắc chắn vị trí Rex sẽ bị check lại thôi. Rex nhanh chóng lùi về. Rex bị chết chay. Timing quay mặt đi từ Rex rất không may. 2x đây sẽ phải bắt được ít nhất một để lùi về. Không, đồng đội PR đã đến hỗ trợ cho anh ấy. 2x bắt được một. 2x double kill. 2 triple kill. Và điều thứ 12 dành cho game Legion. Có cái là đóng cửa, có cái đóng hộp game này thôi. Huấn luyện viên bên phía Legion nên nghĩ đến map thi đấu pick của mình, map thi đấu.
Sure, the first one in the melee, that's probably a little bit of a free kill, but the follow-up was fantastic. And even hiding, yeah, so that one's kind of a free. He actually spots the second player. We didn't see that the first time around, so yeah, they definitely knew that it was going to be an A attack. But the fact that he got 4 kills in the round, wow, that is so shocking.
Rất ảo diệu từ vị trí của 2x. Hình như PR lên đấy chỉ để hút đạn thôi.
Getting crushed in the opening map here against Gamer Legion. I'm just so impressed.
Yeah, no hope.
This would be back-to-back 13-4 defeats.
Yeah, you're right.
After losing Nuke. Yeah, they will have another shot, obviously.
Map thi đấu đầu trên của mình thì hơn.
But it is an elimination game, a lower bracket matchup in Group A.
Nhìn theo
as you just highlighted,
CTR thì đây cái đầu của Emilia là mình sẽ bắn trên lộ ra vị trí của mình. Còn là trả ra khu vực nước này các thành viên phía Division về. Vẫn muốn công bonsai B đến từ vị trí Division, Rex đã đẩy đến khu vực công viên rồi. Đây là chết chay. CTR đổi 1. Trước khi nằm xuống vị trí Jacker, Emilia đổi đi mạng là 2x. Chỉ còn mỗi mình Rex thôi. Rex Class 1 vs2. Không phải là không thể. Khi trên tay của thành viên bên phía Division chỉ là khẩu tích. Hai khẩu AK. Jacker chỉ còn nửa máu. Muốn móc về khu vực nước. Jack đã đoán ra. Rex không thể làm được khẩu và 4 chết tiệt đây chỉ cứu đi. Chỉ có đi 27 máu của Jacker. Không phải là hai bắn vào đầu, rõ ràng là tính đích mà đấy.
Yeah, LinVision giving Gamer Legion a taste of their own medicine. How many times do we see these kind of executes work out for Gamer Legion when the roles
từ vị trí của Gamer Legion.
So starting to feel like themselves, and like you say, the flash is really on point. I love that Rez made this call, by the way. His game sense is incredible.
Đây sẽ Kira cho Gamer Legion và họ sẽ phải rất dứt điểm trận đấu này nhanh. Tránh đêm dài nắm mộng. Nếu lần này thua họ ra sau họ sẽ phải eco. Và đó sẽ chắc chắn sẽ là điểm chiến thắng thứ 7 cho Division. Họ sẽ không muốn điều đấy sẽ xảy ra. Khi Division đây 5 khẩu AK, bom mìn đầy đủ. Không có lý do gì họ có thể thua trong trận thi đấu này cả. Khi thua tay. Đấy điều đương nhiên rồi.
Utility is dropping a bit low there on the CT side. It's not disastrous yet, but
there is a world in which check that looking for some grenades later on. They flash their way to this position. I don't hate it, but when you check this part of the map with flashes like that, you are also giving away some information. It's more safe, but it also does telegraph what you're doing more. Hypex goes down, and that was actually the AWP, so a bit unfortunate perhaps. Starry. Trả bóng mình rất đau. Starry nửa cây. Rex bắt đi mạng của Emilia. Starry bắt đi mạng ZTR. PR cũng sẽ tải bắt được
Staying
một.
alive right now just outside the bathrooms is huge because they can try and
Thế
get a
3
crossfire
vs
in.
3
PR just needs
có
to
thể chỉ cần
save
trốn
himself
tại
for a
tiếp
few
viện thôi.
more moments.
Rồi
Allow
tiếp viện đến
Rez
ngay,
to
double
activate,
kill.
and that's what happens. A nuke goes off on
GG
the side,
cho Lin
and as
Vision.
Rez suppresses the
Cô bị
button,
sút ở đây.
and now call me soon
Bắn hơi lỗi
tries, he
nhưng mà chỉ còn
gets
23
the
HP.
first frag, but it's a heavy cost to his
2 vs
life, and time
1.
is low.
À,
A stray
no
bullet
hope.
will seal the
13
deal,
năm.
and Game of
Ra
Legion
vị
get
trí
it
Game of
done.
Legion.
Rez with a phenomenal CT side.
Those
Quá
are
hủy
some
diệt ở
disgusting
bên phía
mechanics coming out
T-side
from
và
the Swedish player, I
bên
must say.
City
Very,
side
very
cũng chỉ
impressed.
trong
The first kill, fair
kia
enough, but the one that he got
Lin Vision
on the
thêm
guy
3
coming
round
over
danh
the
dự
box
nữa.
is something
Thế thì
else.
kết thúc
So,
đấu với tỷ
just
số
complete
13 năm.
destruction here. Game of Legion taking down Lin Vision in the opening map. Was their own map pick, but I'm quite pleased to see what Game of Legion brought here for the first map.
Chúng ta nghỉ
Very
ngơi trong ít
promising
phút trước khi đến
signs.
các thi
After a
đấu thứ
loss
2,
against
thi đấu
Liquid,
The
with
Trade.
the 13-10 loss,
The
Liquid
pick
no
ở phía
slouches
các
to
thành
receive
viên
the
bên phía
elite
Lin
buff
Vision.
right now. To come into this map, a couple of uncertainties in terms of how Lin Vision were going to perform. They started off with a horrendous, I think it was, 7-0 at one point to Game of Legion in the first half. It was looking super one-sided. At least Lin Vision didn't completely crumble, but ultimately, Rez in particular was just way too strong when that second half came around. You saw it here with the FAMAS, the first opportunity. He picked up 3 kills in this round. This is the third of those, which
I can't find my way back to you till you make amends with the demons you've been through. And I can't regret leaving you alone until you find your way back home. Until you find your way back home. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown. Don't let me drown. ain't no stopping us. Fly without a boarding pass. Couldn't catch me, I be moving fast. Call me a shooting star. Let 'em know who you are. Flying up in a bar. Wish on a star. Time to show 'em who's in charge. Call me a shooting star. Shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass. You're looking at a shooting star. Got more than a couple of people going mad. I swear they're rooting hard. Tell them I'd be big in the game like she went and got them breast implants. I said I'm moving too fast. Didn't even get to glance. I'm ready to eat up track like I'm seated in a restaurant. If you had swag like mine, you know it's best to flaunt. We aren't hating because you aren't. Shining like it's neon. Rock like kings of Leon. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, they might just have to leave. Shooting stars across the galaxy. I stand out, so don't be mad at me. Infiltrate, I'm with my strategy. When I turn up, they might just have to leave. Yeah, shoot, shoot. Yeah, shoot, shoot. Yeah, shooting, shooting. Yeah, shooting shots. Shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars, shooting stars. Didn't even get to cross. I said I'm moving too far. Get to glass.
我好像听到了动静。
集合，该我们出手了，咱们给他们来个出生入死，来吧！你这手感，无人能敌，他们简直不堪一击。小心点，还有一个。
一切都如计划所料。
出发，出发！
都是我们的，快撤！就是这样，就是这样。
兄弟，现在麻烦大了。炸弹哪儿去了？跟我来。
老哥，真是潇洒。
没有什么能够阻挡。
不要，不要！
目标已击毙，确认区域安全。别忘了还有个炸弹要处理。行动！出发！来吧，任务开始了。发现目标。干得漂亮！嘘，我好像听到敌人的声音了。
准备安炸弹了。嗨，我们成功了，走吧。让他们见识见识谁才是老大。
你看到炸弹了吗？我去炸弹那儿。七零八落的，快拆弹！完了完了，来不及了。今天还回得去吗？
And we are back once again from
Được,
what
được
has
học
to be
và
just
mẹ
a
Trung Quốc hài
phenomenal video.
cái quả giải này anh Trung Quốc đầu tư kinh khủng luôn,
Instead, I feel like it'd be a lot more of an exciting
chưa bao
game.
giờ có
But
cái
here we are, Vince. How
anh
you
em
feeling?
kiểu tôi nhớ từ cái hồi mà
Confused because that guy
bây
tried
giờ
to
cứ
outrun a
thải
nuke.
ấy.
Did you see him plant then try and run away? Like,
Đấy,
what difference
chưa
does
có
it
cái bây
make?
giờ
You
nào
can
mà
get either way.
You have to
mẹ
trust
Trung Quốc
yourself
là
in
một
these
là
moments. You know, you've got
đầu
to
tư
you've
tiên
got
nó
to
thích
back yourself, I guess. But yeah, fair enough. That's
các thể loại
it's
đồ
not
họa
gonna be
các
easy
thứ
whatsoever.
có cả
Here
nhân
we
vật
are.
riêng xong bán
Second
hàng
map
nhân
is
vật
coming
nữa,
up. If you are just joining us, then big
cực kỳ
welcome
đầu
here
tư.
at the CAC.
Dân Trung
And
Quốc
we've already had the first
cực
map
kỳ
on
chuộng
Overpass.
CS.
Second map is Train, picked by
Tất
LegionGaming.
nhiên là
We
sau
did
cả
get
sau môn
crushed
đột kích
pretty
rồi, nhưng
hard in
mà
the opening map, but
số người chuộng cái môn này thì
let's
rất
cross our
nhiều.
fingers and hope that they can get onto Inferno, because Inferno is kind of a somewhat even battleground between these two teams, or it should be in theory. So it would be exciting to see them play a third map, I think, but we're all a bit confused about the
Điểm
fact that
qua
we even
một
have
chút để
Train in
trận
the
thi đấu cùng
map
giờ
here.
chứ giờ Han và Virtus Pro
Yeah, and
thì
it's
giờ
mainly
Virtus
because I
Pro
think
đang
Gamer Legion have done a really good job here. Obviously, Ash done his
đang dẫn
homework,
trước với tỷ
DTR's
số
done their homework.
12-4
In terms of like LinVision's
y hệt
map
vừa
pool,
rồi.
honestly, is not particularly
Giờ mà
strong.
lên
And so
giờ
I
Han
think
lên
they
được
realize,
5
you
nên
know,
là
if we
y
get
phí
rid
map
of
vừa rồi
Dust
luôn.
2, then
Mà
ultimately Train's going to be
top
in the mix,
frag
Overpass going to be in the mix, and
bên
then what
VP
was surprising for me is that Ancient got
bên
banned actually by LinVision. That is
Yeah.
the one where I'm a bit head
16
scratching
kill và
myself.
6
But
lần nằm xuống.
yeah, I think it was a good decision ultimately. And yes,
Ta
there
cũng
is
trở
a
lại
lack
trận đấu
of
này.
information
Thì
out there in
tiếp
terms
theo
of
sẽ là
LinVision.
trận
It's
đấu
not
giữa
that Gamer
Legion
Legion have played a lot more
với các
Train
thành
in
viên
their
phía
own
kia
right. They've
Legion
only
và
played it 4
Legion.
times.
Đây là
They've
map
won it
pick của
once out of
Legion.
4. So it's a bit of a rough map for them as
Không
well.
hiểu vì sao
Especially when you
họ lại
consider that they've
rất tự
lost to
tin lắm.
Fnatic and Big
Pick map
when it
trên này
comes
mặc
to
dù
Train. So it's not as if
Yeah,
it's
that's
all
fair.
top flight
bắn
heavy
với nhau
hitters,
rất ít,
Vitalities,
bắn
Mouses
rất ít
of
cái
this
map này.
world.
Thế
So
còn bắn có
for
một lần
me,
và thua luôn cái
I'd
lần đấy
still
nữa.
probably slightly go in
Nên
favor of
họ rất
Gamer Legion
thích
purely
cái
off
map
the
này.
basis of what we saw
Không
last
hiểu
map. They just
cái
played so
Legion
much of a
có
higher
toàn
level
tính
of
gì.
Counter-Strike.
They really did. The whole squad showed up. It was, you know, it was fantastic to see. It wasn't even PR who was needed. I mean, he was doing a lot of the entrying on the T side and thought he did a really good job, but he wasn't even top in the
Map thi đấu đầu
scoreboard.
tiên ở
Not
đây
this
thì
time at any rate. So
Thousand
yeah,
đang
we'll see if it's
là
going to be a
người có
different
bản sử dụng tốt
scenario
nhất
for
với
LegionGaming if they can start to get just some of the individuals
196
activated. I feel like
rating
we didn't get a chance
HLTV.
to really highlight almost any of the individuals
Ngay
on
sau đó là
that
Rick
side. We had
và
Saka with a couple of great rounds with the
ta có
AWP,
thấy
and
ở Lao Đinh
other than
ở
that,
Macedonia thứ
it
nhất
was
rồi
pretty
Rick
sketchy
làm
on
rất
the
tốt.
individual kill front for the
Mà
Chinese side. So
như
that
tôi đã
has to
đùa là
change.
tài
We
năng
know it
trẻ
can
27
because
tuổi,
we've already seen what they could
tài
do
năng
in the
trẻ
majors.
chôn
It
vùi
was
cái tài năng
it was
của
a
mình ở NIP.
spectacular run that they had going on over in Austin, of course, and it's not
Mấy
that
năm
long
đầu thì không
ago
sao, mấy năm
that
kiểu
they should be able to
2019,
summon
hai
and
đâu
recall
2017,
some of that
18
strength,
này
I
không
think.
sao. Sao đúng là chôn vùi tài
Yeah,
năng
but
luôn.
I think the
Bắn rất
kind of
hay.
problem
Nhưng
kind of
mà do sự
materializes
ngôn
with
lù
what you
và
just said
tổ chức
before in terms of it
Chuyển
really
về toàn
was
mấy
just
con
sort
chó,
of Zaka with a few openings here. He was mainly saving as well,
toàn
to
mấy
be
bot
honest.
rừng mít.
And Call Me Sue was probably the standout player on that map for Vision. You know, he led the charge. He was
Đấy
having a lot of
cái
double
cong lưng.
kills on the B side, on the CT side, also some entries thrown in the mix. Apart from him, it was just once again super
Cũng nói
absent.
như
And
kiểu
it kind of
Falcon
felt like
nó
a
dùng
similar
tiền nó
outcome to their
lấp đi
opening
đội
match
ngu
against
của
them
nó không làm
IBR,
gì.
where Starry pops
Falcon
off
nó toàn
individually.
tung
Everyone
tiền
else
kiểu
has a shocker
mình
of the
không nghĩ
game.
là nó có thể
You
tung được
cannot
ra ví dụ
afford to
như
do
kiểu
that at this
Monesi.
level of Counter-Strike because you
Những
will
chiếc
get
hồi
so
G2
punished. Like you
quay
said,
về
PR
với giá
wasn't even
600k nó
required.
là cao lắm
After the
rồi.
first half, it was
Về
Towson and
Falcon nó bốc
ZTR
về giá
who were over
2M5.
the top of the scoreboard, and then Rez took
Ngang
over in
chỉnh
the
nhau,
second half where
gần
it was
ngang chỉnh nhau
required.
bóng
So
đá tier 2
it
như
doesn't
kiểu
feel like Gamer Legion have needed to get out of like third gear so far to
rất
deal
nhiều
with
tiền.
Vision.
2 triệu rồi mình rất nhiều tiền.
This is completely
Mà bốc về
irrelevant
toàn
to
những
the
thằng ngu.
broadcast events in many
À đâu,
ways,
không,
but
không, không,
I
không
feel
xuất
like
phát
the
thế.
foam slippers that Ash is
Lúc
trying
về
to
với
throw in the
Nico
mix here,
mua
they're
còn là
really
đặt tài
throwing
năng
up
trẻ.
the vibe completely. Like I'm not at all a fashion expert, as you guys can probably tell, but
Từ từ giờ hết rồi
but
anti
man,
Nico.
it's a hard clash against the the otherwise golden carpet on the floor and like the whole blue aesthetic that's going on. Like, what is this? Was this a mess?
He's got like flip-flops on, right?
Ash, like
Yeah.
get it together, man.
Chúng ta
Out of control.
I gotta say, I
Match
also
đấu thứ hai
respect it though, Anders. You know, I'm a big fan of
vẫn chưa
comfort
bắt
over
đầu.
style, so I look at
Có
that man
có
and
một lỗi kỹ thuật
I'm
nào
like
đấy
nodding ahead.
đến
I'm
từ
proud.
vị
I'm proud
trí
of you,
của
Ash. Keep it up.
You know
ban
what?
tổ
If they
chức.
win, I suppose he can get away with it. Like that's
Rất
what
là
you earn
đơn
for
đang gặp
playing
vấn
good
đề
Counter
đây.
Strike. Here we go. Looks like we are just about ready to get into the second map. It's on Train. I do love Train. I still have some concerns that the
đây
Ivy
chúng
part of
ta
the map is
bắt
still a
đầu
bit weird in the current sort of version of the
các
map.
thi đấu để
But
Train.
I've hoped that it could be, you know, a
Bên
couple
phía
of small fixes, and I think we're
Division
almost
sẽ
there.
xuất phát bên phía T-side.
Yeah, I'm kind of torn as well on Train. I love the old school Train. I think it's an adjustment period. You know, like often when things start to change, it can be a bit of a shock to the system. But we are ready to jump into this one this time. Vision on the T side and Gamer Legion occupying the CT side. And we do have a pair of
Có
Julies in for Towson as well.
chiến sớm, smoke rất chuẩn chỉ.
Ooh, some nice grenades to begin with.
Harry
Trying to
ăn
really
cả
soften
nết,
up
còn
the Gamer
còn
Legion
HP.
side as much as you
India
can.
spam còn 4 HP.
Saka making a bit of a run
CTR
for
bắt
it
được đi
here, and
Starry nhưng
Holy Sue actually
Kobe
gonna be
Sút đã
traded out
đổi đi
there.
mạng của
1
CTR.
for 1. Starry and CTR both going down.
Bom
The
sẽ
bomb
được hạ
being
xuống thôi.
attempted. Actually, this is great work. They planted the bomb on the connector side, and now they're in the C
Đấu
connector
tay thua
themselves. So
Towson.
this should
Được
be
dịch
a
bắt được
very,
đi mạng
very strong
2x.
position for Vision.
Kobe
I
Sút
think a
double
retake
kill.
here be almost impossible for Gamer Legion unless they can land
PR
some
đây,
stunning
PR
headshots.
phải làm được 2
PR certainly
để có thể
giving it his
dẫn
best
lại
shot at doing that,
chiến
but they're
quốc
just
gia này.
ducking and diving
Towson
down.
chết chay.
They're playing in front of the
Không
connector, and
Towson
they will
tạo
find a
xuống.
way. Call Me
Kobe
Sue
Sút
with
bắt đi
3
mạng của
kills.
PR. Ra
I'm
chiến
a
thắng
bit
cái thắng đầu
confused
tiên
that
từ
Vision
Division.
actually running out of the connector again once they already planted the bomb in that position.
Và
But fair play to them again, it worked.
để mà nói map xuyên này là map
It
khá nặng,
did.
bom
It
mìn.
did work. There were a couple of
Thì
opportunities
các
for
bạn
Gamer
thấy
Legion,
có
like
thể
St.
thấy
Pion,
cái
who
bom
was trying to
sai
buy time as well for Towson to put
nếu
those
không có
Julies to
smoke vào
work.
chắc chắn
Didn't quite work out,
các
but it is the perfect
city
start for
đứng từ
Vision.
phía tàu
At the
đỏ
end of the
với
day,
cả
they're
phía
in an elimination
Ivy chắc
map
chắn sẽ
right now. They've only
nào ra
played
spam
2
chết bạn.
maps in their entire
Không có
tournament
smoke
up
rất
until
khó
this
để
point. They've
vào
both been
sai.
stomps. So slow
Đây là
start
một
is
map
one thing,
dài
but how are
và
you
khá
going to
rộng.
recover? How are you going to bounce back from that?
Sau
Keep the CTs at
sau
arm's
update
reach.
đến
It's going to
CS2
be
thì
a
map này
forced
còn
buy.
rộng
We see
hơn nữa.
Gamer Legion go for this more often than not. This time not the double scouts like we saw on Overpass,
Đây,
but
Kobe
Hypex
Sút
does have
và các
himself
thành viên
one.
phía
So you need
Division
to tread lightly.
chiếm lại khu vực cắt quốc.
Yeah, always a potential risk that you could be tagged up with it.
Shot
I
này
feel like
đang
as
có
scouts,
chiến
it's
thủ của
rare that we get to
CTR
see sort of serial headshots and around it. It
và
can
Towson
happen,
đứng
but
ở
I
phía
think
dưới
if you just get about a couple
dưới
of
hầm.
leg shots even with it, that's where things get
Không,
real
điểm đến họ
uncomfortable for the
không
T
phải
side. So identifying that
Được
that's
quanh
happening and that kind of
check
making
lại
a
khu vực
call
long
from
drop.
there on out is certainly the way to go. 3 people
Thành
stacked
viên
to the
của
B bomb site. That is
Division đã tiếp cận
obviously
rất
way
gần
more than you'd normally see
khu
in a
bonsai B
regular
rồi.
round of Counter-Strike, but
Nhưng
for a
mà B
round
đã
like this
có
one, it
3
does
người
make a lot of sense,
phía
and it
Gamer
actually
Legion.
could be a spectacular
Cái
play.
khẩu
We'll see if they have the
có thể gọi là
utility.
khẩu
This
giải tán
position
đám
can
đông
be molotoved out, and so can almost everything else on the map. So
như là
looks like they're going to be
MB9,
molotoving way deeper than
57.
that, though. So PR should be in a strong position. There'll probably be the flashbangs that'll have to do it here. That one's going to go behind him instead, so he's still pretty safe here.
Yeah, PR đạp lửa, PR còn 32 HP.
That absolutely
Kobe Sút
wrecked
quen lần lần
everybody
lên
on the
tiếng với
site.
cái mạng của
PR,
GTA và
he's
Towson.
been hurt. They know that he's
Phát hiện ra
back here
GTA,
somewhere.
GTA
See them looking
PR đã
already.
bị phát hiện
Star's
ra.
going to be the one to take him down, and they even delaying the bomb plant. They wanted to make
Sẽ
sure they
là
found everyone
chỉ đầu
before
thứ
they
hai
even
này
go
cho
for it.
Division
But
thôi.
that flashbang, I think, is the real MVP of the round.
Yeah, it was beautifully
đây bắt
placed,
được
like
một
you
không
said.
đây.
It wrecked PR's
Ô,
position. He had
thông
to back
minh.
away into the Molotov that was thrown behind him as well. So he took a ton of damage from that one and played no real
Scout
part
này
in
có
the
xếp được
round.
không đây?
And I think as soon as they heard the
Scout và một
singeing of
khẩu
feet on top of the train, they had a good
57.
idea to it being a stack, and they were doing their due diligence, like you said, stalling for the
Sau
bomb
sau
plant, making sure that all the angles were
Game
covered
Legend sẽ buộc phải eco.
and cleared out. And
Nó
now
không có
Rez
tiền.
and
Sau
Hypex
khi nó
have
khóc vai
the
ở nó trước rồi.
arduous task of trying to hold on to these two weapons.
Chính xác
Hypex
trên vị trí của 2X.
is going to
Hay
take
bắt
the
đi
one
mạng
player
trên cầu.
down, but that's all that
Mà
will
đấy
go
là
the
tất
way
cả rồi.
of Gamer Legion
Không thể
in
làm hơn được
today's
nữa.
Lin Vision with a very convincing 2-0 start. And although a couple
2-0.
players were low, they maintained the bulk of their rifles in a
Rồi
very
tiếp
good spot
của
right now. And Gamer
Game
Legion,
Legend vẫn là
they're down to
H3.
basically peanuts. They got nothing left in the tank.
Mà không,
Yeah, good
chỉ
work.
là
Good work.
Towson với một khẩu DE. Còn lại tất cả
A
các thành
lot of
viên còn lại
utility spending a lot of
là
B
full
bombs
3
from
hoàn
the
toàn.
previous round, but
Chắc chắn sơn. Để
they managed to
ba
break through in spite of walking into at least a bit of a stack. So it could have been awkward, but it wasn't. Round number 3 and single smoke on CTR. Don't expect anything super crazy here. Just, finding a kill, finding a rifle. Maybe that would be the real
tham
big
minh,
upside.
được tham minh rồi.
Shouldn't be closer than that.
Đấy,
Especially because you've
bước
got
vào đánh
so
nhau.
many Galils and Mac 10s here that
Phát
you
hiện là
should
phát
have
hiện
every
được vị
advantage
trí
in
của
taking a
2X.
fight against these unarmored opponents. Rez,
Nhưng mà chỉ nghĩ là
slightly
có
forward
một lần
position,
đấy
but
là
again,
không
it's
nghĩ
such
là
a
Rick
common position that it should get
ăn đất
checked
vào
one
cùng
way or
nó
another
từ
here.
trước rồi.
But so far, they are
Rick
walking up
chủ
like
rất
they're
kỹ.
not expecting it, so he might get a free
Ôi,
kill.
Nico mới
Only
sút
two.
check
Nah,
lên
there
vị
he
trí của
goes.
Rick.
Good work.
Đúng Vietnam.
Yeah, and he was too busy
Oh.
watching the exit point because he had a teammate behind
Khỏi
him
DE
watching
đầu
that
tiên.
close angle until it did
Họ
shift
sẽ bắt đi mạng
positions.
Starry.
It's a great deagle though. And of
Chỉ
course,
bạn.
Coleman Swan to the open.
Tôi
This
mới
is so
sút
aggressive and it gets
rối loạn.
punished. There was no
Rick
flashes
đã
or
bắt đi
anything
mạng 2X nhưng
alongside it.
Towson double
Oh,
kill.
that's such a weird decision, and they're
Triple
gonna
kill
get
đó
punished
คือ
so
quad
hard
ra
from
kill.
Towson's deagle, who just
Towson
goes and
quad ra
removes
kill.
every
Điên
single
quá.
head.
What
Một round eco
just
thành công đến từ
happened?
vị trí của Game Legend.
Towson with 4 kills. But you're absolutely right, though. They did not need... There was no reason they had to run through the smoke with nothing else. Sure, maybe if things go super well and you run through that smoke, you find a kill on a USP or a deagle. Who cares? Why is it interesting to you? Why not just keep the round alive? That is so devastating. They upgrade into 1 AK, 2 Galils, they buy the AWP and the M4, and suddenly Gamer Legion straight back in the mix with even a lot of money in the bank even behind this one. Oh, that is such a ridiculous call, unfortunately.
I think he was assuming that the main push was going in kind of synchronized together, but it was slightly too slow. So there was no pressure being applied from the other side of the site, allowing all the CTs to stand at E-box and effectively just put bullets down range. But they just got to shake it off.
Yeah.
They've got to get straight back into this one. It's not going to be easy, and they're now in a bit of a rough position themselves. A Tech 9 alongside 4 Galils.
Towson's contribution so far has been pretty epic across the two maps, but this one, that only takes the cake for the minute here. That is such ridiculous deagle shots coming out. I'd love to see that whole round from his point of view. Maybe go back and watch it later ourselves, but nice grenade as they try to set up for a bit of an execute. There's, again, 3 people here, which is a lot more than you would be expecting in this kind of a round. Very interesting.
It's not orthodox, is it? It's not what you'd normally see.
No.
PR is going to watch that smoke. I think it's still going to plume because of the volumetric elements of it anyway. Towson flashed off, but able now to open up with the Galil. Bit of a rice spray, but we'll get the one. Beautiful entry from Zaka, though. Is keeping this round alive. Watermelon low, going to get up close and try and hide behind the smoke. Long range tapping. PR comes in second place, and Zaka from strength to strength, from frag to frag. And Hypex stuck behind the smoke and nothing really to say about it. Has opened up his account. But this is where Westmelon's position could be massive. He gets spotted. Oh, the USP is going to let Hypex down. How is he still alive? But then lands a beautiful flick afterwards. And Zaka's getting up close. He wants his 4th frag. All the pressure, though, is on Hypex. And he almost flicks across. But Zaka's too fast on the draw for his 4K.
I can't believe it. That is another nutty round, to be honest. Saka with the 4K. I thought for sure they had that lockdown on the B-bomb side. I was not even there was no doubt in my mind that that was going to work out. But somehow they just couldn't land the shots as they came down the B ramp towards the sidewalk there. I'm really surprised by that. Lin Vision, I feel like they should have had no chance after losing the first fight there. But Yeah, well played, well turned around,
รู้เลย
and
แล้วมีสลิป
yeah,
วิ
so
ธี
a
ก็ผ่าน
surprising
ไป
round. Match has been paused in the meantime. I'm guessing everyone needs a deep breath after that one, but well played on the T side.
Yeah, it's almost like doubly damning, right? Because you stack the bomb site on B, you have this
Yeah.
crazy, really good call, and then you just get obliterated by Zaka running out with a Galil and just removing heads left and right. And it was a bit weird as well, because I think PR is one of those players you look at on this game of Legion Tide and you think his mechanics are really solid, he's a really good player, super confident. The way he wide swung there and just got completely obliterated without really doing any damage was a little bit concerning for me. I don't know if it's a case of maybe not being as confident on this map and feeling like you have to snatch at an opportunity and try and desperately make something happen, but it completely backfires.
And they also had a third position, right? That was by that elevated boost up at the hut on the B bomb side, and typically that position is just so crazy strong for the CT side. It's a real pet peeve of mine that no T teams want to learn how to Molotov that position, because you absolutely can from the T high ground. You can throw Molotovs over the hut that land and burn out that entire plateau. On the CT side, it's relatively trivial, I would say, to do it, but nobody is learning how to do it. And a lot of teams lose attacks towards B just to that position, but they just wrecked it. It was, again, Saka coming through with a bit of a whirlwind of a round over at the B side. It's pretty sick stuff. 7-2 on him individually, but LinVision, I mean, listen, if you're going to throw away the other round, then at least win this one back. I mean, that kind of evens things out, I suppose.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt, because it was a real good opportunity for Gamer Legion to establish their economy early on in this half and kind of start to run away with a pretty significant lead. So this really does like tug back at them and force them to be a little bit more honest with their future buys. You can see in this round it's not going to be anything spectacular. You got an MP9 Deagle in play, although definitely hold the phone with Towson's Deagle. He got 4K a couple of rounds ago from E-Box, which was disgusting, so I'm not going to write him off. But yeah, I mean, this is exactly what we wanted from a neutral's perspective, though, right? Like after a very stompy first couple of maps that LinVision have played in this tournament, important for them to get off to a good start here and show us what they're capable of. Because it would be a real shame, you know, in the CAC if LinVision were one of the first teams to get eliminated and just basically went out with a whimper. We want to see more from them.
Yeah, that is true. And I mean, that could even be kind of another line of conversation that's worth having at some point. Is just the added pressure, I think, for Chinese teams who playing in China. I think is definitely something that is felt. And I'm sure they feel it too. Whereas I think in the past, maybe the pressure was almost somewhat less because the expectation wasn't that they were going to be playing super well. Teams like Taiwan and LinVision right now, we know they have the capability to shock even really high-level teams. So probably now more than ever there is an expectation that they're going to be able to make the playoffs and really be out there in front of the crowd, which I'm sure that it's been a long time coming, obviously, for Chinese counterpoint, but I could see a world in which the next couple of years will have a real sort of real turnaround in the region just because of that alone. I can't remember for the PGL, for the Shanghai Major, I can't remember how many Chinese teams it was that signed up, but it was some ridiculous number, like 3,000 or something, that tried to sign up to play for the qualifiers in China. It was absolutely mental. So the game is definitely experiencing a bit of a growth in the region, and partly obviously that is because, for those of you who don't know, Perfect World is the distributor of Counter-Strike in China. And they've been running the CAC for a really long time, and I think slowly but surely the whole project is kind of coming together. I feel like we're actually for the first time seeing real traction for the game in the region, which is super sick.
Absolutely, and you know, if Asian CS were to explode and get a lot more popularity, then that's only a net positive, in my opinion, for Counter-Strike overall. Like having way more Asian teams, having way more tournaments over. In Asia, just generally, not just China, but just Asia at large, would be massive. And when you think of how big, and obviously we're talking over this round because there's obviously tech issues and they're going to be going through a match medic, etc. But when you think of games like League of Legends, Dota 2, etc., the amount of Asian teams there that are not just taking part but also dominant at times. Really does kind of elevate those esports to that next level. So if CS gets something like that, then all the better for it.
Well, and the thing that's always kind of sold me, because I had such an early experience going to Beijing for it's called the MSI Beat It back then in 2013, I think it was, and And I remember there were so many fans that were there to basically see, you know, some of the Swedish superstar players that we had at the tournament at the time. They, like, and even though I think NIP wasn't at that event, if I'm not mistaken, but regardless, there were a lot of players there who had been watching Forest and Get Right since back in 1.6 and all the rest of it. I just thought, like, this is so cool. They actually there's really a real culture of people who care about the game and remember the old days and all the rest of it. So there's definitely like a long history just in China alone for people caring about Counter-Strike, and I'm sure that with a little bit of effort, a little bit of success here and there, it could be spiraled into something way more.
I think it was Nico that was talking about this fairly recently as well. And I know some of the FaZe players have discussed this in the past, like how incredible the support is over there. Like you go over to one of these Chinese events or one of the Asian events, and you don't necessarily expect to be recognized that much. But these players were all talking about like how huge the lines were for meet and greets, and like just generally how often they were recognized. So it is really cool to see that CS is very much alive and well. And this is another reason to go back, why it would be such a shame if Lin Vision went out in such a sad sort of way, because players of this stature, Tai Lu, Lin Vision, the other Chinese teams, when they perform at the level we saw at Austin Major, that is inspiring the next generation of players. Yeah. That is getting those 12, 15-year-olds that are currently like playing CS for fun, realizing, no, this is actually something that's attainable. This is a dream that I can go for. They feel motivated. They feel inspired by these things. So it's always great to see these teams like performing well, especially at tournaments, like you said, that's effectively on Chinese soil. There's even more pressure there for these guys to try and contend with.
Yeah, I really think so, but we'll see if they can kind of outperform that pressure a little bit. I feel like at the moment, having won that last round with Saka and the quad kill, that's kind of how we exited into this tech pause here. That should be a big turnaround moment. And again, just to say how they got into this trouble to begin with was that one round where Kolmisu ran into the smoke, and I saw them make these kind of calls at the major too, and I felt like I kept thinking all throughout the major, I thought, this is it, like it's going to backfire, it's too much, you know. I still think that there is some indication for Lin Vision in not playing quite that aggressively, but speaking of aggression, they are already all of position. Kolmisu traded out, but at least he got the one kill there, kind of run down by the MP9s.
It's a good opening pick though if you're on Gamer Legion.
Đẩy lên nhanh từ vị trí của thành viên Division.
As a T spill out on red.
Division cũng phải lùi lại nữa. Chơi tính tích. Starlink Spark còn 37 máu.
Damage being inflicted to Starry. Rotation now coming through from the CT side. The bomb's still yet to be planted as well. That could be a problem for the T's.
Yeah, they are really making sure. This was happening earlier on B. They want to make sure that there's nobody hiding in a corner somewhere. Saka might just be a free kill, and there will be res to go down. And honestly, you might just want to save the M4 and the AWP here if you're on the Gamer Legion side. There's still a lot of them have to be played for, so I don't think giving away these weapons is a good idea. It could have been fun if somebody had walked into Hypex before res went down. That could have really changed the round, I think. But yeah, nice work for Lin Vision. The early pressure and then the slowdown once they actually get to the bomb side. I don't hate it. I think it's a nice way to play. So good job.
Yeah, they had so much time left. Like the reason why I was a bit concerned about them not getting the bomb planted is effectively you have 4 players from multiple rounds that can come in, and the chaos of trying to get the bomb down if you get peeked at the wrong time. That's where the round can just completely run from you. So, like you said though, they had good angles, good awareness, and they do factor it into a 4-1 lead. Legion, as you highlighted, they're not going to be playing with their money too much. They decide to save, so they will have a couple of threats in the form of Hypex and ZTR to contend with here.
Still pretty sketchy when it comes to the money for Gamer Legion, unfortunately, so it's going to be down to that save. Oh, well, it was AWP trying to push up the ramp. Hypex. I feel like doing that is probably no longer worth it because the standard utility there for the T side has been so well established now. In the beginning, it was just the Molotov, but then the CT started to throw smokes, and then it turned into this, grenade bombardment where it's Molotovs into double HE, and it just... It feels like there are almost no rounds left where you can actually go for that push, but they're going to at least save the AWP for now 1000.
cực đẹp
CTR, as you can
và
see from the
còn
observer.
chắc chắn sẽ không bị check ra của cái sút xem một mạng easy
Into the
cho
box outside long dog.
CTR
I'm
mà
sure Kulmi is going to be aware of this. I mean, you can see through the panes of window
chưa có đẩy ra
and the
đất
glass that
là bó cẩn
no player
thì
is
cũng sút
currently peeking around that corner. And this allows them to keep 3 players over on this side. It's effectively a gamble at this point. Like you say, they're going to be holding on to that AWP for Towson. And he has it on the B side. Smokes and mollies now being put down. 40
nó bắt đầu
seconds left
xếp
on the
vào
clock.
xe
And
B
it is going to
cô mới
yield a
sút
bit of
bắt lại vào
success.
vị trí
CTR gets
CTR
his man. They back away.
Yeah, and I think they can
chính xác
feel
hơn là
it.
xếp
Should
vào
be able
box
to
xe
feel there's
A
nobody else coming out
thứ hai
towards
quả
that
smoke
A
của box
at
xe
the
A
moment.
và smoke ở B
Might
thôi
all come down to whether or not Towson can do it. He's done it with the
vừa
Deagle
chia
in the
người ra
past.
fake A đánh
But
B
rifles now
Towson
with the
bắt đi
AWP
mạng
as well,
Westmelon
sniping long range and taking down
4
Westmelon.
lên
This
3
is very awkward. The bomb is on the site, but they need a bit more control before
ra
they
đi
can really plant it. Saka's
bóng
going
sẽ
to be
vô
careful.
rất
He
cẩn
goes down.
ra đi với
Towson,
áp dụng
he's
của
doing it
Towson
all right now in this game. Back to
bây
his
giờ bắt
tricky
đi vào
Deagle,
PR
looking for another headshot. It's going to be
CTR bắt đi
CTR
mạng
to drop
Starry
Starry, and Amelia is so
Emilia
far away.
sẽ
I
là
don't
sẽ
think he could do much
cho
here,
trận đấu thứ hai
unfortunately.
cho game
There
lý
is a
diệt
way to stop that bomb defuse, but he's so far from it. Had
xếp
the
lại
Molotov in the back
thì
pocket, so I
Emilia
thought there was a chance that maybe he could go for some crazy lineup, but that's not going to happen. Gamer Legion, they steal another round that they probably should have had no business winning.
vào
Yeah, and
hai
it was
chiến
kind
thắng
of kind of
từ
interesting as well
game lý
because
diệt
they threw a smoke and
nó giúp
Molotov,
tiền
and then they
thứ
did
hai
nothing really with it. I don't
ngược
know if they
lại
were
với League
anticipating a
Division thì
rotation
họ chỉ
and
còn
they were going to try and shut down like a push around the back. I think that's what
họ
Call Me
có
Sue
tiếp
was
xuống
looking
3
for, right? Like he
trừ
was a bot
Emilia
dog and didn't expect ZTR to be watching that angle passively.
với
So I
các
think they may
phòng
have
thì
expected a
League
rotation
Division
to come through around the back of Brown Halls,
rất là
but
cẩn thận
instead it's
với
just
thua có
completely
một
backfired for them.
round vừa
Got to
rồi
say
đưa
though,
đá
well played
và
for
các phòng
Towson. Like he was so dialed in, so disciplined, just
rất là
sitting
cẩn
with
thận
that
hay
AWP way
là
back, not falling
vị
for any
trí đó
rotational plays, just wants to make sure he can nail that first shot, and then the entire dynamic of the round shifted abruptly away from Linvision. So, yeah, kind of a shock to the system. Back to reality with a bang for Linvision. You can't take anything for granted on this T side.
tiếp tục ra thứ 7
And maybe just worth highlighting as well, they are
League
on the
Division
T side, and typically
họ
that's
sẽ
where
tiếp
a
một
lot of
khẩu
teams are struggling quite a lot. These
sách
even
2 đến từ
really,
vị trí của
even
Emilia
people that
còn
love
lại
playing
là
train, we see
trường
them just
to
sometimes
rất
have
là
almost no impact
ưu
on
ái
the
bắt
T
trong
side.
phòng
So
úp
maybe that's just worth taking into account. The fact that it's already this 4-2 scoreline is probably not
sao
that
trận đấu
bad.
sự từ
Failed
cả
Molotov,
hai đội
I think, for Linvision, kind of hit areas,
Starry
but there's
Starry
nobody
và
there on
cùng
the
với sút
CT
được
side to really
xếp lại
capitalize
copy
on it. I don't know how they would have known anyway.
shot này
So they're just going to be slowly taking over the hallways here.
ồ
Yeah, this next round I think is critical for Gamer
ui
Legion.
một
If
quả
they
flash
want to have
mù
more of
đúng
an
đâu
impact on Train, I think they need to win this next one. Then they're going to have pretty much a free round afterwards because the money's
Emilia
going to be
cùng
low on
lót
Vision.
lót
So it's
là
all
chắc
kind
có
of
hai
laid out for them. There's a
flash
path back into this game, but I think this round is the real swing round for
là
them.
mù cùng với sút rồi
The amount of team flashes here for Linvision, this has not been a
thì
smooth,
trong
clean
một
take
kỳ
at
chi
all.
trả tiếp nhưng
Failed
mà
Molotovs into
không
team
có ai
flash.
ra cả
Yeah. I think
Look
Gon,
at
their
that big-
coach, should be sat back like pulling his hair out right now, watching some of these moments. But they're not going to get punished for it for
cái
the time
division
being.
đang
They
bế
have
tắc ở
expended
khu vực
quite a lot of util though, and they only have
khu
2
vực này
smokes left to
rất sự quyết
execute
định
with
muốn đánh
flashes
vào
and
bóng
a
sai
couple
nào
of Molotovs as well. Let's see what they do with it. We already saw a couple of
Six,
perfectly placed
six,
flashes
two.
previously. Zach has got the lineup for outside main.
ok
I,
này được
I hate the time that's left here.
30
Rez
giây
has an
còn lại
incendiary
còn
that's
phải nhanh
jumping
lên
over at the B site. If they just
Bây
execute
giờ
A right now and
bắt đầu
he
ném
saves
cặp
the
lát không có
incendiary
bóng
and
sai
runs
A
back to A, he could probably
PR
stop the
màu
bomb
trắng
on his own just with
cái
that
hai x
grenade.
đó
It's
cover
gonna
cho
be
phải đồng
IPEX to
đội rất
begin
tốt
with. Might
Westman
not
bắt
even
đi
need a
giết
grenade at
từ
this stage.
CTR
18
bắt đi
seconds on
mạng
the clock.
Sari
They're
trước
trying
khi
to
đường
get around the E-box. Great headshot to follow
Emilia
through. And Rez
hai
right
vs
here
3
on top. 10
bóng sẽ được hạ
seconds
xuống thôi
left. There's the incendiary, but it's a bit late.
quá
He's
muộn
tried to
cặp
bounce it in
lửa
there.
đấy
I think if he was quicker, that could have absolutely worked to seal
Yeah.
the round. But instead, it's a 2 versus 3. And Gamer Legion,
hai
they
vs 3
might have to back away from this one.
xếp
Unfortunately, they don't really have the cash, and it's just unlikely they can make it out of the connector.
cẩn thận rất cẩn thận
Yeah, I'm not
He
sure if
said
it was
what?
PR or not, but the player that was at the sort of con side of A side just needed to stay
Hai
alive
mặt gì
there.
đấy.
Just needed to desperately waste a little
Không,
bit more time
cái
to
điều này
allow
bạn
the
xếp
luxury of that fast track connector rotation.
chiến thắng thứ
Like
5
you
cho
say,
League
as soon as
Division
he dies, it's such an easy angle to watch. You got multiple
đánh chậm
angles
như
to watch
Navi
from, and there's no real way forward for Gamer
Ừ,
Legion.
Navi
You're
dạo này
effectively
không đánh
just
chậm
running
đâu.
into machine gun fire. You're not going to survive. So that, for me, was the turning point on that round. And it looked good for Gamer Legion. I agree with you. The amount of time left, it did not give Linvision any room for error.
Yeah, I I didn't necessarily love the strategy for LegionGaming, but I think you're probably right. Unfortunately, some of the fights there for Gamer Legion, once the clock was that low, once they had the advantage, just fall back and let him try and plant the bomb. Even if they plant the bomb, who cares? You can probably retake it after that. But it didn't work out that way. And it could be, again, another sign that Gamer Legion, as we came into the map kind of knowing, they don't feel super comfortable on this map. It's not like they absolutely love it. So it's not too surprising, I suppose. Is that another friendly HE? I think they named themselves. What is happening? It is. Yes, the observer is in agreement. He's not sick. That's great work, guys. Great work. Oh, so that's we'll take down Starry, and we will start round 4 versus 5 in favor of Gamer Legion. Who again, it's not like they've lost the map or anything yet, but I am concerned about the fact that LegionGaming already have 5 rounds. If you're looking for a 2-0 victory for Gamer Legion, I think that dream is pretty quickly slipping away. In spite of the fact that it's been a bumpy ride for the Chinese side, I mean, they're putting in the rounds.
Yeah, it's been scrappy, hasn't it? It's been pretty turbulent on this T side, but they've just managed to land the knockout punch when it really counts. Gamer Legion have all 5 players remaining in this one. They can still pull this half back. A 6-6 kind of scoreline. It's not going to be an easy one, but at least it's doable. But there's a long way between then and now. And LegionGaming, not for the first time, taking all their seconds, all their time allocated to move on to the side. This time, more passive, more deep angles from CTR and Towson.
Trong đây là đang có 2 người và Gamer Legion đang đứng khá xa. Lydia và để che mặt. Towson là Blader này cũng
This is a perfect execute. The only thing that could go wrong right now is that Rez on the flank. I mean, he is the linchpin for this. He's already spotted. He gets sacked for the 26. At least they know that something is happening. What a lineup for CTR. Knocks out Emilia and West Melbourne. And there's just nothing left here. They get the bomb site and the bomb plant, and they don't get a single kill afterwards. That's pretty sick for Gamer Legion.
Yeah, and that's precisely why I was saying they need an entry frag really quick, because you're already a player down. You're going to have a lot of your sort of personnel, a lot of your pieces looking towards the backside of B, not necessarily anticipating that rotational play. And even if Rez doesn't get that kill outright, and it's a bit of a scrappy one, he does a bit of damage, him just being alive at the top of the halls is going to be enough to absolutely wreck LegionGaming, because you have multiple players coming in from Connector and CT side respectively, and they would just get overwhelmed and sandwiched in kind of a crunch. So well played by Rez. Gamer Legion do drop back to a 3-5. A little bit grim on the side of the T's. Starry's got an AK, but there's not going to be too much behind that.
Chưa đến mức nào mà phải tắt bao như vậy
That's
cả.
a bit of a concern. 3-5, just a little bit more going to be able to pick up here. So a couple more weapons thrown into the mix. Utility will be lacking somewhat, and they're not going to be able to have the still not too bad, I suppose, for LegionGaming. I think anything from here on out is probably just a bit of a bonus. 5 rounds, I would say, is enough on the C side of train, to be honest. So I'm not too worried for them at the moment. It is a nice pickup though on Gamer Legion. Look at the AWP and the 5 or the 4 AKs. That's the best buy you could even imagine, I think.
Đẩy ra gần cùng cái shot, cái long rồi.
It can turn into a nightmare unless you can make it work and make it stick. And although LegionGaming have scraped together more of a purchase than I was anticipating, they have nothing left in the bank. I do agree with you, Anders. I think they're already in a position where they'll be relatively happy. But, you know, every team at this point is looking to pressure and push as much as possible. They want to come out of this off 9-3, and instead, it's Towson that walks straight into Starry's AK.
Yeah, you could almost see, like, 3 seconds before it happens, that Towson, his whole attention is, you know, there's almost the back high ground there, up on the little slope, and not on the actual box in front of him, so not the most ideal position. Gamer Legion could just, yeah, they're going to take a massive risk. They're going to say, we're either going to, well, looks like they were going to say, we're either save the weapons, or we're going to basically have a 4-man setup, because this is really rough. Not that CTR could do nothing here, but it's going to be a similar thing where the grenades are going to be landing. Should be a smoke or a Molotov landing in his position. Up on the high ground.
CTR bắt được một.
Him in the open, but he actually lands the headshot.
Cái chóng lùi về thôi, lùi máu máu. Giơ tay bắt được bạn Rick.
He should. but
PR
not quite
đây,
yet.
PR
Reds
đẩy
though
ra
will pay the price.
rất nhiều lửa được
The
trả ra
penalty
vào
is
khu vực
there as
tàu
Gamer
vàng này.
Legion are stuck in such an awkward spot, plus ZTR being low HP. Yeah,
Gamer
this just
Legion
isn't
xếp
feasible.
xếp
It's
rất
not
nhiều,
worth it. And they will pull
rất
the
là buồn
plug.
ngủ, không
Vision
thể bắn nhau gì cả.
already with a
Bạn
stellar
ấy
6
bắn được
rounds
2-3
on their
bạn
T
ấy xếp rồi.
side and 3 more to be played.
Thôi thì cũng là
A real
cái
bounce
đặc điểm
back
của
into
CS2
form.
rồi. Khi mà
It was a
CS2
beautiful
ra được
shot,
2
exquisite
năm
from
rồi mà hệ
ZTR,
thống
but it
kinh
still
tế vẫn
isn't good enough. And that's kind of the
vẫn giữ
problem
nguyên
that you face
ở
when you
mức
lose a player
MR15,
so
trong
free
khi
and
game
so
đã chuyển
early
về
into the
cơ
round
chế
with Towson.
MR12 rồi. Họa chăng thì
Yeah, and
bên
you,
phía
I
City
mean,
Side được
there are probably
cộng
different
thêm tiền cho
philosophies
với
here, but
mạng
the fact
bên
that
T
Towson was
hạ
kind
vực
of
được
going
vô,
up
nhưng
there
mà
with no
năm
support from inside of the
50
sides,
đồng
they
với
can
mạng có vẻ
throw
không ổn
even an
lắm.
HE thrown over the wall, like through
Bên
that
bên
hole
phía
in the wall.
City vẫn
You can still probably
trận
distract
đồ
some of the
có
T's a
chắc
little bit
hơn
there.
bên phía T
It just
Side.
seemed like it was a bit of a coin flip, and he
Nhưng mà
just
Football ở bên
unfortunately ended up on the wrong side of
City
that.
thì
So
vị trí cần phải ở tầm
unfortunate.
5.1 đến 5.3.
And Gamer Legion,
Khi
this is
ở
the
bên
other problem I suppose I have in
T
the back of my
Side
mind. I
muốn
keep
xin vai chỉ
thinking,
cần
if
5.8
Gamer
thôi.
Legion are struggling on the CT side of Train, how is it going to be when they get to the T side? I'd be surprised if they suddenly play a lot better there. That's the side that most teams are having a hard time figuring out here. So yeah, 6-3. You know what? The good news is it's kind of shaping
Nên
up
bỏ
for
short
a
match đi
potential
là thay
Inferno
vào cái của
decider, and
nó.
that is what we all want here for LinVision to prove that they can make a bit of a comeback. I think we're getting closer and closer all the time.
Cái ký ức tôi thì
And
ngồi
also,
chơi
just
short
having a
match
quick
ở
look
bên
at the stats,
CSGO
there
không
isn't
phải chơi
too
đẹp
much
lắm.
of a sample
Bên đấy
size
đặt
here.
tay
Only
to
4
so với
times
danh.
played in the last 3 months for Gamer Legion. But that also
Và
echoes
danh
your
thấp
sentiments
của
here, Anders, because the
chơi
win
short match
percentage on T
là
rounds
chúng ta quay trở
for
lại trận
Gamer
đấu.
Legion has been 39%. So far
Yeah.
from ideal.
Bài đánh
And
nhanh
that suggests that,
đánh
yeah,
nhanh đi ra
things
sao?
looking pretty
Bài
grim.
có vẻ là bài đánh nhanh rồi.
Well, here we go.
Rất
That
nhanh
is
đến từ vị trí của
lightning fast.
Legion.
Oh my god, they're
Towson
already
nhìn đến
down
người,
the
Towson
side.
lùi về.
Onto the B
Towson bắt được
side
một.
here. Towson, good shot onto second.
PR
That's
phải lùi
really
về thôi.
important, but the sheer speed on this one, very hard to stop. And the bomb, it's
Và
going to be
còn
planted
chắc chắn sẽ
now,
bị hạ
and they
xuống thôi.
are doing what you're supposed to be doing here, pushing
Tôi
forward.
thấy 4vs4 sau khi Westmelon nó bắt được đi
find
mạng Towson.
Towson. Everything working out pretty well for LinVision at the moment.
Yeah,
Really
they-
sketchy for just a second there.
Bỏ ra
How
từ
is this
khu vực
retake going to unfold, though? If you're on the Game
hầm
Legion side, you've got some
City.
smokes and some kits. You
Không
always
nhìn
have
thấy
to go for it. Otherwise, it's
chắc
going
chắn
to be
chặn
too
được
late here.
Starry
CTR,
tham binh ném bom
I
quá
hate
tệ
everything
từ
about it. I hate
CTR.
the jump, I hate the grenade in the
Ba
hand
viết
when there's no
H4.
one around. And unfortunately,
Emilia
he
bắt
does
đi
get
mạng
punished
Rex.
for it.
Emilia
Whereas
tới
the
mạng
next
của
to get
Emilia.
cut down,
Emilia double kill.
Emilia finding the headshot, and now Starry's alone up
4
here,
vs
but
2
he's
cũng
got
thức
the
trở về
shot
1
on
vs
Hypex. I
2.
think either way, the time
Không
is
thể tin được.
practically run out here. PR just
Họ có thể
running
cua
and
đến mức nào
hoping
vậy?
that no one's going to chase
Starry
him
cuối
down.
cùng clutch thành công 1 vs
Even if he
2
hadn't
thật
got
không thể
that
tin
kill, I
được.
think he still has the
3
round.
người
So
trong bonsai A
7-3,
là
and
bonsai B
LinVision
của
doing a
Division chết
fantastic job
chay.
now.
Đã từ
Starry
4
was
vs
on
2
2
xuống còn 2
kills
vs 1
before
vs
that round
2.
started, but those 3 frags
Emilia
he
không
picked
nói
up
xuống còn 3 vs
worth their
2 đi.
weight in
Nhưng hai người còn
gold.
lại không đổi được một mạng nào.
Yeah, it just it doesn't really feel like a team that's confident on train at all on the CT side. Like you say, ZTR getting caught jumping, they seemingly had no
Nói chung
idea
là
about
đầu
that
tiên là
angle
tôi
being
phải
a
xin lỗi đến
possibility.
Sicker vì bảo anh
And
là
just put into
open
his
hạt vàng ngang em
grave.
rượu.
Rez also the hero, the
Ồ,
standout
có
player.
lỗi đến từ vị
Highlighted
trí của
afterwards, the
Legion.
smoke has gone awry. Standout player. He's on 2 frags. He's had barely any impact whatsoever in this first half.
Yeah, that's true. That's a bit concerning, perhaps. I think all the evidence is just in favor of the idea that Gamer Legion
Rất vẻ của
are
hai
just
vị.
not very
Vui
comfortable on
vẻ
train.
với vị trí của
Which,
Legion.
again, like we said, the map veto itself was super interesting. Both Overpass and Train, in my opinion, were surprises to make it into the veto at all.
Có vẻ mục tiêu của hắn là bonsai
So it
A
can't
nha.
be a complete shock to Gamer
Từ
Legion
là
with
bonsai
the
B rồi.
kind of bans that they had, that they would have ended up on a map like this one.
B đang có
And
2.
again, maybe it's part of the
Còn
calculation
Towson
for
và
Ash. They
PR đang tiếp tục.
want a chance to try
Khu vực
some of
này.
these maps, and they certainly are getting a chance right now, but there's so much on the line that it feels like a
Bọn mình
scary
còn
time
lại
to be rolling the
hai
dice
người
on something
không
like
đủ để
this.
có thể thủ
Back
bonsai
we
này.
are
Cách
walking
hiệu
all
quả.
the way through
PR không
upper
còn
B
phải smoke nào.
hallways in towards
Trong khi
the back
Towson
B site here. We'll
với
see if they
cổng
can
phá
find a
mát
way in once again.
càng khó khăn
Towson
hơn.
has a FAMAS
Không
in the
bóc
B
cả.
bomb site, and
Giờ hay
all
smoke
right,
là
he's
bị
getting a
chặt
little bit of
sai
backup
cả.
now, I suppose, but
Nên
with 40
Legion
seconds, they need to make
phát
up their
hiện ra điều
minds
đó
here,
không?
LGN. What's the plan?
Đoán nào vẫn muốn
I do really appreciate as
đoán
well
nào
though,
vẫn
that they have been
Đấy, phụ
very
đi.
comfortable and confident in their T side to mix up the pace. Like we've often mentioned about the fact there's 20 seconds
Đây
left. I
là
think that last round
PR và
was about as
Towson
fast
chuẩn bị
as a
thành
rush
những người
can
khổ nhất
possibly be,
ở
and it
round đấu này.
completely caught Gamer Legion off
Khi
guard.
mà lúc đầu
at some
Giao
point,
của
though,
Start
you
của
feel like this
team
is going
visit
to end
của đánh
up
giá vào
backfiring, and
với họ.
maybe this is the round 4.
Thực ra
PR's
đâu.
in a good position.
Bắt đầu tôi trả
Shouldn't
lời
be
đầu
too
tiên.
affected by any grenades, but it's
Quả
unlikely
bom
to
chắc chắn sẽ
deny
bị
the
hạ
bomb
xuống
plant
thôi.
from coming through. And that is a real
Thì đây
problem when you
cái
have a
đầu của
distinct lack of
West Midland rồi.
utility. That's why
PR bắt
PR
được
is just
một
going to
khi
say,
nằm xuống
screw
rồi.
it, unleash me. The
Starry, West
downside
Midland
is
bắt
he's
thằng
found
bột
his
Starry
sword
double
after
kill.
one, and Starry building in confidence with every passing second as he
Bây giờ
puts
bắt
2
đi
more
vào
bodies to the
Scorson.
dirt.
Một viên 4
Lin
quá
Vision,
khó.
with a fantastic T-half, are on the brink of an 8-3 lead.
Hai con bắt được, con giữ được khẩu không không bắn trượt 2 viên. Ok. Hai về cục tiêu em tẹo nhá.
Trying to recover his individual form and doing so, I must say, with very quick pace. 8-3 and round number 12, the last of the half. They go into it, Vince, with so little economy to work with here. Gamer Legion have been really deflated, I must say, on the second map. But you know, we're talking about all the pressure for Lin Vision as a Chinese team playing in China and how maybe it was getting to them. I feel like right now they're playing with a reinvented level of confidence. So that is pretty sick. I'm glad to see that they're not just going to be crumbling here in this really critical game.
Some aggression finally from Gamer Legion on the CT side as Red's just going to be pushing W and holding it as long as possible. And P9 tailor-made for these positions. Su has no idea he is a dead man.
Nằm xuống break.
How
Lại
is he
thêm quả
running
smoke
so
lôi
quick
nữa.
as a failed smoke? But
Còn em
I
team visit
feel like
set
he was
này là
running
áp
quicker
smoke này.
than even with a knife. I'm so confused, but I guess now we know why people throw those double HEs on the T side to stop that kind of a play. Interesting times. Yeah, that's gonna put a little bit of pressure on the rest of Lin Vision. I hate to say it, but I don't even think it matters that much whether or not Lin get another round. I think the harder half is still ahead of them, so I'm very skeptical that they can make it back here. I'd love to be proven wrong, of course, but we'll see if they can steal this one away. CTR off angle still checked with great precision by Westmelon.
Watching the left side allows Saka to move in and have a quick look through on the Ivy. Damage inflicted, but Carlson with that deagle. We've already seen how deadly he is when this pistol's in his hands. Also has Hypex. Does get his man. I thought he missed his opportunity after the first bullet, missed it out. And Zach is taking a couple of speculative shots, but nothing really connecting. Time once again beginning to be a extra adversary enemy for Lin Vision to contend with.
Bắn không thể lại được 2x. Nó sật mất được một trước khi nằm xuống của Starry. Kết thúc với cái thắng của Gamer Legion. 4-8 sau này được tỷ số đầu tiên.
Deficit feels like it would require a Herculean effort to even get close.
1 phút thôi.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like we have a lot of data on Lin Vision on the map either, so maybe their own CT side is going to be confusing and weird. But I would suspect that this is going to be Gamer Legion running into even more problems here. Ash giving them a little bit of a talking in the halftime, getting into the second one there, but certainly winning the pistol is going to be important. Certainly winning the first rifle round is going to be right up there, but. Yeah, great stuff for Lin Vision, and we're talking about on Overpass how we didn't get to really highlight many of the Lin Vision players individually. We certainly had our moments here where they were really showing up. Saka, that one round where he had 4 kills in the B bomb site, that was really, I think, a pivotal moment in the half.
Yeah, the Galil, right? He runs through on ramp and just removes heads left and right. The Executioner. Yeah, they'll need some moments like that on Gamer Legion side of things. And what concerns me is that Red's been a little bit quiet. PR's not had a great series overall, although it wasn't really required that much to do a lot of heavy lifting on Overpass, to be fair to him. But this would be a great time for him to show us what he's capable of. And we've seen it many times around. Still super young, but a lot of talent. A lot of utility for ZTR. Full bag of it. Flashes, wall, and smoke.
Yeah, which look at where he is.
Yeah.
So he's gonna push. Well, he could do a little bit of both, I suppose. But he could just be faking the A-bomb site for a push here. Emilia, though, was so close, and actually Saka is here as well. They could shut him down. Close with the goalies, the USB at range. You could see him trying to set Emilia with 3 kills at the end of it. But I must say, the flashbang there, thrown from inside of the B-bomb site, that was the cherry on top. You could see that Gamer Legion were not ready for this. What a sick setup for Lin Vision.
hai lần còn lại
Utility's going to be feeling like it weighs
game Malaysia
tons
sau
right
một
now.
đồ
'Cause it had
sát của
absolutely no
Emilia.
impact whatsoever.
Tôi không nhớ trong phim
Julius do
tình tiết
trade
này.
hands. But Lin Vision have a firing squad set up down here. Westmelon is joined alongside Zaka. Both of them ice trained onto the exit points or entrance points, depending on which way you look at it. But it looks like it will be the final exit for Gamer Legion here on this pistol and potentially the map. As they turn tail and run, they do still have time, but CTR 9 HP, and this is a pretty obvious read if you are Lin Vision. With this being a distinct possibility, Starry playing passively, letting his team move through on connector, and it will be a massacre, a slaughter, as Hypex gets one, but that's all that will go the way of Gamer Legion, and that lifeline goes begging.
Such a great setup to begin with, and there probably never was a chance that a Gamer Legion could have made it back, to be honest. It felt like that was, once they were in that 2v4, it was kind of done for here. Emilia, just so aggressive, but it works out. I'm not complaining at all. I would have loved to have seen if Gamer Legion would have gone for the full fake, or if they were just going to go out popped off to try and join with the utility that was on CTR, but we're never going to know that for sure now. So I guess it'll be a question for the future. Sure, they're going to try and run that again. UMP is really in style right now for Lin Vision. They've been buying it quite a bit. Personally, not a big fan. Don't like the rate of fire.
Yeah, it feels a bit slow.
Bắn vào cái đầu.
Shooting gallery opens up, but it's going to be Zaka that's going to dive in with a bunch of money. If Gamer Legion aren't careful, Emilia continues his presence with the A1S. Zaka is about to backstab as he plunges the metaphorical knife into the face of PR. 10-4, the scoreline. And yeah, this just feels like we're heading to Inferno sooner rather than later. That's the vibe I'm getting right now.
Yeah, but I guess like we've been saying, the good news, the positive news is that both teams should be really proficient on the map of Inferno. So I can't really say that I'm too sad about it. Deciding map in a series, it's a classic for a reason, I suppose. We'll see if Legion can find the last 3 rounds then. They are gunning for here. I'm sure it's possible. Utility to try and stop any kind of a rush here. So a lot of evidence, I think, that Lin Vision feel more comfortable on this map than anything Gamer Legion have shown so far. I'm surprised that he hadn't gone out already. He wanted to peek with that flashbang, so he could have died to PR. Probably should have died to PR there. But trade is in. CTR opening up over that smoke fades. There is a chance that there's going to be some pressure on Westmelon, who's playing on the other side of it. Emilia going down, that's great work for CTR.
And it keeps the CT so interested over on this area of the map as well, and effectively bypasses a lot of control elsewhere. Rest now shows his hand alongside CTR. They put down Westmelon. They have a good idea as to Starry's positioning as well with UMP. Molly's going to keep him at arm's reach for the time being. It's going to start to fade away. He's going to be called upon sooner rather than later. He's not made a single sound. He's moved an inch. And he gets checked by CTR and the superior AK will rain out supreme. Just to say for Zaka once again, we said this quite often on Overpass, but in very different circumstances. I think we also saw ZTR, if I'm not mistaken, pick up a UMP for Gamer Legion over on Overpass early on as well. So it seems both teams have UMP enjoys within them.
Yeah, but somehow I'm seeing it get picked up more and more. I don't know how it's having a resurgence. I feel like nothing's really changed all that much. I suppose the MP9 changed, then maybe some people have, reconsidered some of the other SMGs as a result. But yeah, not me. I'm never touching any of those weapons, to be honest. I'd rather play with the Scout myself.
I'm definitely an MP9 Mac 10 enjoyer for sure. I agree. Yeah, abuser. That's probably more accurate, to be fair. The UMP does just feel garbage. But I was one of the people that disliked it when it was meta as well. I just never liked the way the gun felt, personally. Yeah. That's probably why I'm trash.
Sick. Hated it before it was cool. I like that.
Yep.
Well, you're wrecking yourself playing Battlefield anyway, so when you get back to playing Counter-Strike, it's going to be a mess, isn't it? So.
Don't remind me, Anders.
That they will come, don't worry about it. Here's the utility. It's classic for a reason. You really have to do it. You have to stop the CTs from getting there. And so far, so good. AWP on Saka, and then a scout on Call Me Sue. I mean, this is a completely chaotic round in many ways for Lin Vision, but whether they win or lose this, I think they're still going to be
Một cái
fine.
suit
For Gamer
RPG
Legion, though,
ở
it
khu
is
vực IB này.
critical that they pick up this round. If we
Scout
start
bắn
talking
chưa?
about some sort of a wild comeback here on train, then now is the time to set that in motion. And look at Saka.
Nhìn
This
vị
is
trí
a
của Sika là
mental
khổ
position.
ghê
He
nhất
does have some backup with him.
team.
Obviously, with a rifle or any kind of an MP9, this is super common. But with an AWP like this, that is pretty advanced.
Về nó rất cục.
Yeah, you
Từ
leave
vị trí
yourself
Sika
basically no room for error. It's a one and done shot.
đó là không
Like you say, he does at least
qua
have
tầm
a
lên
bodyguard of
West
Westmoreland
Midland
here,
hỗ trợ
but look at that. Gamer
xèo
Legion
xèo.
not taking any chances.
Rồi,
They
hết tiếng
hadn't
rồi.
had eyes
Lùi
on
về
A
nó.
main for so long that they realized that was a distinct possibility, especially when you know the economy of the
Rồi,
opposition
đánh
is
vào
low.
bóng sai
These
A.
kind of cheeky positions are more likely. So
Rồi.
well done, at least at cordon off that area, but they
Thành viên
still
nó
need
qua
to
rồi.
deal
Sika
with a
bắt
lot
được
of
bí mật
CTs
PR.
here, including an
Rick,
AWP with just
bắt
30
bí mật
seconds
West
left.
Midland.
This round can still easily go the way of
Sika
Lin
bắt
Vision
được
as
CPR,
Saka
Emilio
plucks
bắt được
CTR
bạn
out
của
of
Dawson.
midair.
Rất cùng một tiết. Hai biết.
It's dangerous jumping
Với
like
hai
that
ít thôi.
on the T
Một
side.
tiết
I don't
thì
know
từ
why
vị
they're
trí
doing
Rick.
that behind the E-box. 15 seconds now.
khổ.
They're trying to clear the space, trying to plant the bomb here, but is anyone going to be covering? They're actually interrupted. Hypex is now alone with 8 seconds on the clock, and if they just run him down, I think the fact that he faked it there, he's already going to be dead. If he wanted to go for it, he would have had to have crossed his fingers that no one was going to peek him, but they probably were anyway, so another close round, but it goes the way of Lin Vision, and you know, I think more evidence in this round. This is, I think, a classic example of just how Gamer Legion don't feel
Ra từ đầu
comfortable
mới
of
biết đâu. Tại sao Lee Vision
I
đánh
think
bắn
we're
tắc này vậy?
finally also starting to see what Lin Vision are actually
Yeah,
capable
but
of.
Mommy
Like, they've
Day-
been sleeping giants for those first two
Bài
best of
vợ
ones,
của Mommy
or
bài vợ
first
này mà
maps,
không
I
hợp
should say, in
người
their
người
respective
châu Á
games.
châu
And
Á
now
thích
Zaka
tay
in
hơn.
particular, some lovely shots. Amelia's also chipped in.
Take
Starry
off
at
the
one
high.
point was 2-7, by the
Một
way.
phải thế
Picked
đâu.
up a clutch
Lee Vision đã
3K,
biết có số
and
11
since
rồi.
then he's been off to the races. He's
Không
up to
có bây giờ
11.
thì bao giờ.
Right.
So a complete turn of events here for pretty much the entirety of Lin Vision. And Gamer Legion, they're going to be shell-shocked, man, like wondering, what the hell do we do at this point?
I mean, I've been saying it for a minute now, but I really think this T side is.
Theo cái map
I can't
Inferno
see how
nếu
they can
mà
easily put it together. I think
Lee Vision
there's a
chiến thắng
level
ở map
difference
thi
here
đấu này thì
between
chúng
Lin
ta sẽ
Vision and Gamer
đến
Legion
map
on this
Inferno.
particular map. Lots of individual examples where you can just see that some of the Gamer Legion players they don't like the angles, they don't know how to play certain corners.
Đấy ba của
It's a bit awkward when you kind of look at it in totality. I'm sure they would recognize that themselves even.
Starry bắn mù chết đi vị trí của Rick.
Opening probably should have been his
Rùa.
right there, but Starry, he moved the flash.
Starry double kill.
My God.
Ra
Deletes
Vietnam
Hypex as well because
thế
why not?
thì rất
And
sớm rồi cho vị
that's
trí Lee Vision.
half the team more or less gone here for Gamer Legion.
Rồi gì thôi.
Yeah, and any final hopes or desires of getting that 2-0 slipping through their fingers. Towson, PR with rifles, he could maybe justify holding on to the next round, but no smokes to play. Well, they just did pick up one, to be fair. As you can see here, the bomb still sprawled out. Needs to be reclaimed, but it will be momentarily.
Xếp hay không đây?
Looks like they're going to go out on their
Tiền
shield.
của họ không còn
If
nhiều.
they're going to lose, they're
Sao
going to do it on
nếu
their
mà
own terms. They're not going to be
chắc chắn sẽ
hiding
họ
and
sẽ để
saving.
thua ra này
At
rồi.
this point, they're going to try and
Thua ra
take the
sau
fight to
có đầy
Lin
đủ
Vision.
để xếp.
Can respect it, but in a 3-on-5, the way Lin Vision
rất
are playing
khó.
right now, the
Một
lack
là
of
của
utility
AK.
doesn't
Hai
look
của
good.
AK.
Also having to trade up to the AK is going to make
Vẫn muốn
sound
làm
cues, and so
từ
they
vị trí
can't sit
của
around and wait
Gamer
any
Legion.
longer. Going to be pushing out into the lines, Den, and Zaka
Zika bắt
with
đi
those
vào
sharp
PR.
teeth
Zika double
plunges
kill.
them in for another couple, another kill
Còn
onto
là
CTR
Dawson
mid-air as
nó
well
đơn
with
độc
the AWP.
12 năm.
And that
Đẩy
round
cái
is a
map
done
point
deal.
để cứu.
Yeah, you're right. Same kind of scenario where jumping behind the E-box gets you killed. But you know what? I'm glad you highlighted this. That 3v5 with Lin Vision playing so far back on the map, I really like that. That's the sort of stuff where I feel like in the past you've seen them, somehow they go fight in those 3v5s because they just want to. They feel like, oh, well, you know what, we're winning, we're beating them up. And suddenly you end up losing a round or two. So I actually really respect the discipline in that last round. I think it's important
Coi đầu tiên.
to carry this home,
Có
man.
lẽ
One
chỉ
round
cần
away
đến
from
cái
winning
map
this
point này
map.
thôi chứ.
It's
Tại
a
sao
really
với
impressive
Lee
lead.
Vision gần
Don't screw
gần
it
như
up
là
by
không.
suddenly feeling
Chỉ
really
hai
confident and
khẩu
brave. And
hai
I
khẩu
think
tích
the last
na
round kind of
với
showing you
ba
that
khẩu
they've got some control of the troops here. So that's a
ba khẩu
nice,
DE cùng với một
I
số
think a nice
mì thôi.
look for them at the moment going into what should surely be a third map. I don't think we could
CC
even be doubting that so much anymore. Round number 18, we're going to be seeing an attack towards the B-bomb site, but Amelia, smoke is down at a very nice time, and well, this is incendiary, sorry, but I feel like it's going to buy them a little bit of time. We'll see if they rotate anyone else over. They're so far back, though.
Và set vào khu vực side B. Và một
Well,
Sabi
he's
đang có
connecting,
2
supposed
người
to go
giữ
down low to
làm
keep
phía
Emilia
Starry
safe.
vào vị trí của
His
Sector.
vision gets blurry though.
Emilia
The
đang về hỗ trợ đồng đội
smoke is
kịp
going to
thời.
fade away.
Emilia bắt được
Emilia
kill
pushes
khi bị đổ
through,
lại.
and PR's
Sector
the
bắt được
only
Frank
player
rồi.
to get any success in this
Đấy.
round. He has
PR
doubled
bắt
up
được
though,
2
and a
bạn.
triple on top
Ô!
of it. And
Bỗng
Towson
chốc
comes in with a deagle,
tình
not
thế
for
xoay
the
chiều.
first time
Game
today.
Legend đang là người có lợi thế.
Komisu could still put this map to bed though and take us to Inferno, but it will not be in the
Ôi
way
trời
that he was
ơi,
anticipating just a few moments
từ
prior.
lên đi từng
He
sao.
has the cover crossed. He is worried about the push to his right-hand side. And now players going onto the
Chắc
site
chắn quả
has
bom
the
sẽ bị hạ xuống
incendiary
thôi.
guns, and
Nhưng
Towson
nó
can
có
start
thủ
to
được
reposition.
bom này không đấy.
Komisu though is snaking his way up, meandering through onto the backside of the site. He does have the kit, but no smoke is a bit of a problem. He knows one player is over in this vicinity somewhere, and there is the kill. Does he decide to pull the pin on this incendiary and toss it onto one of these sides? He does, but it's a little bit too late, and PR secures the round with a 4K.
You're
Nó
right.
quả
If
đầu
that
tiên nó được
incendiary
cứu
goes
từ
down,
chỉ cần
2 seconds
quả
earlier or
Game
right
Legend.
away, then
Còn
PR
6
has
cái
to
nữa
make
đấy.
noise running through it, and he's going to give himself
Kịch bản
away.
là
But
thắng không
that
phải
is
lao liên tiếp
a
ra.
remarkable
Để thao chân
recovery
phu
for
à.
Gamer Legion. They should have lost this round. The early double kill there for Emilia, that was everything. And it's honestly, it's a crazy play for Emilia. I can't believe he ran for the smoke to find this double opening. It's obviously unexpected. You could tell that Gamer Legion are not ready for that at all. But yeah, PR and Towson, obviously one headshot here, but yeah, PR at the end of it with 4 kills. That is quite something.
Khôn ngoan
Still a
khi
long road back
đẩy ra
into
trước
the half,
quả
of course, but
lửa. Đoán
you
ra
know
được
what?
sức quả
It's
lửa.
something.
Tôi đẩy ra. Còn mình tiếp
It's
tục
going to take
đẩy
each
vùng đẩy
moment
IV.
at a
Thì
time.
có
Don't
PR
get too
nó
ahead
đoán
of
được ra
yourself.
vị trí của
Komisu, though,
Komisu
speaking
rồi.
ahead of himself,
Không muốn đối đầu đối
dirty
trực diện.
off angle. Probably don't expect to
Đinh
peek,
vào
but
đầu
he
vì
kind of
thiếu
helps
PR
his
nhưng mà trở đinh trước
adversaries
được.
out by
Còn
swinging
ai
through
vẫn còn có chín máu nhưng
onto a
mà
natural
Komisu thì
angle
đã
that
nằm
PR
xuống
will be
rồi.
watching anyway. Did himself no
Thế từ rất
favors.
sớm nên
That's
cho
a
những
pretty
một
big
Game
scalp
Legend.
to take early on. Not just Komisu being a bit of a threat, but also it now funnels Lin Vision into an awkward position where they have no eyes on Ivy. They're not sure if they're being pushed from the backside. And at some stage, they're going to have to try and deal with this.
Rất là đồng đội. Bỏ.
Yeah, they are spread out really far. I feel like with the money that's left here, it would make so much more sense for me if Lin Vision all grouped up in one bomb site right now and just said, who cares? Down the B ramp towards the round. It doesn't really matter, but if they come to us in either A or B, we're gonna have all of the guns ready. So I don't like this really thin spread that's going on defense at the moment. I do like the fact that they're pushing into A main, though. If you're going to do something, then again, it's taking a risk, but it's also potentially setting themselves up for a bit of a play. It will be the split to B through CT spawn, which is my all-time favorite strategy on this map. It's what I think the definition of how you can play if you're doing it really well, and you can tell that Zachary just got no idea. 6 strategy. They should have probably been winning the round anyway, just with the opening kill there. But yeah, we get a step closer. It's getting more interesting. 12-7 now.
And PR really starting to come alive. This is much more what we expect to see from a player of his caliber. Some hugely impactful entries, some clutch moments as well on top of it. Westmoreland should get the kill into CTR. I'm going to see if a second player is going to bypass as well, now that he's realised that's not the case. I don't think he wants to take the kill unless absolutely necessary, because it's also like his priority is saving his weapon as opposed to killing the enemy team. That has more value for him, so he took as long as possible before securing that to give him enough time with the bomb detonation to hold on to his A1S. Intelligent plays from him, but it will mean Gamer Legion regardless. Get on the scoreboard for the 7th time.
They're taking small steps in the right direction. I mean, we've seen some ridiculous comebacks today. Obviously, the FaZe game earlier in the day probably takes the crown for at least day 1 here, the CAC, but why not another one? I mean, Gamer Legion, they could make a bit of a comeback themselves. With the money looking like it is on Lin Vision, it's not out of the question that something could be happening.
That's getting so aggressive. Unfortunate for Emilia. 2 players wide swinging with assault rifles, and you got the P250 is a very unenviable position. Molotov is going to stop Towson from getting aggressive, but that goes both ways. Also, Lin Vision can't afford to push any longer, and so they back onto the site and get through connector. They're going to be rotating 3 of 4 onto B,
เนี่ยสีไหน
and
ล่ะ
they're hoping they're about to welcome the oncoming
กลาง
T's.
ไอ้ชาย
The Gamer Legion are taking their sweet time, and they're very split up as well. I don't think they're going to be committing to either bomb site anytime soon.
Yeah, they've definitely got time on their side. They got the utilities still slowly shaping up to be more of a split, so presumably we're going to be seeing Rez and Towson joining down from the pop dog position, and honestly the way that the setup is working, I think it's going to be absolutely fine. So you could see Saka is out there pretty much alone. LegionGaming, again, I think they should be happy to save these two weapons. It's maybe not the most exciting round to look at here, but from LegionGaming it makes so much sense because all they need is 1 or 2 good buy rounds here, and it will massively increase their chances of winning just the 1 round that they need. So, sure, you stack the wrong bomb site, who cares? Just save what you got, and this is pretty much what I wanted them to do in the last round where they had 4 rifles alive. They're just doing it a round later, which is fine.
Yeah, exactly. Bosses that economy, they can afford an AWP into the next round for Zaka, who's had a lot of impact, 16 and 8. And like you say, they have the luxury of a ton of bonus rounds. They got surplus rounds and surplus cash now, and they just have to hit success 1 time. And this map is done. Sure, the pressure is going to start to build because Gamer Legion getting a little bit too close for comfort right now, but LegionGaming have already shown us they can bounce back from adversity multiple times over. Does look like they'll be given this reprieve and able to save onto these 2 weapons without too many, getting closer and closer.
Yeah, full focus here in the Gamer Legion camp. It is awkward when you are on the CT side and you start to run out of money, which is why saving the rifles there was going to be pretty important. They can now rebuy the AWP on Saka, and yeah, him and Amelia are both at 16 kills. That's pretty impressive. Need more of that 1 good round here, and they can see off train, start to focus on Inferno. Early attempted wallbang there with the Molotov on top. Oh no! He fully burns from that. Ridiculous.
Oh, that's such a good read, man. That's such a good call. Waiting all this time to finally have the AWP, and Zaki gets naded and mollied down to 100 to 0, trying to get aggressive into Pop Dog. Gamer Legion, they're in the minds of LegionGaming.
They really are, and he was slowed from the attempted wallbang, and so he was looking at the wall thinking, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to do this, and then as he's standing still waiting for it, it's just an absolute firestorm on top of him.
Trung Quốc này không biết đến biệt thự vua biển với cả Mercedes rồi.
And what a pick as well. Like, if you wanted 1 player dead at the start of the round, it would be Zaka. You want the AWP down. Yes, they've picked it up now. Starry's retrieved it, but he does not wield the same prowess with that gun. Zaka, we've seen him already pick up a bunch of multi-frags, blocking ZT out of the air multiple times. But still, the work is not done. They're going to have to push through the fire and flames of the incendiaries that are being hopped onto the platform. And Amelia stands his ground and delivers for 1. His position, no, but he needs Call Me Sue to help him out. And he'll do just that with 2 huge kills alongside Westmelon. And that may very well be the curtain coming down here on train. Hypex is going to have to try and bypass 2 smokes with 20 seconds left. He controls the bomb, but that's basically the only thing in his favor. And Westmelon puts him down with shrapnel. To Inferno we march.
That is a great rotation coming into the bomb side. So good stuff here. No worries at all for LegionGaming towards the end. I was getting a little bit scared, but they managed to control the situation. High fives all around. As we do see a 3rd map in the series with absolutely everything on the line here. This is critical, and I honestly, I think this is going to be a closer game than we've seen in the first 2. I expect the game is going to be super ready. I think LegionGaming will as well. Everyone's warmed up and good to go, so I think the best is still ahead of us.
Yeah,
and Inferno does feel like a kind of handshake map between the 2 teams, you know, like reaching across from their separate